safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello boys and girls, and a very warm welcome to our Sunset Safari Game Drive, and I'm talking of Stocklosser Middle School, Henry B. Buckland School and the Lakeside Elementary School. Boys and girls, you are very much welcome, and what you just saw there was a nice home, and that was a home of the termites, and look at the beautiful sky that you can show you there. And my name is David, and with me on the camera is Senzo. Good afternoon, Senzo. Are you happy for the kids? Senzo says all of you are welcome, but Senzo is saying he'll request you only one favor, and what Senzo would want from you is you ask us as many questions as possible, and any thoughts you may have, please share with us, or any comments you may have, also share with us. We're three of us out here in the African wilderness. We're in the Great Kruger National Park in South Africa. It's me, and there's another gentleman called Ralph, and there's another girl called Taylor. All of us will be out here showing you the best that we have for African. Just going back to what we just saw a few minutes earlier, that one is called a termite mound, and that's the home of small insect that we call termites. We have beautiful weather for you here to show you the animals, and I'm talking of 76 degrees Fahrenheit and 24 degrees Celsius. Now it's time to move and get you as many animals as possible. Okay, boys and girls? Okay. Go to. So, what was the question again? Sorry? Malai, good question, and you're asking how many animals live in our area. We have loads of animals, but they are all different species, and what happens is we may see, for example, 50 impalas, and we might see, say, one elephant. So they are all many, and they are all different. So it depends on what you're looking at. You might see, say, 10 giraffes, and you might see, say, one zebra. So all of them are different, and all different. Most important, we have antelopes, we have big animals, we have animals that we call reptiles, some insects, and we also have birds. They are all very different. So I'm looking forward to find out what is the first animal. I'll show you. In the meantime, they got Ralph who will be walking, and let's go to him because he wants to say a very good afternoon to all of you.
Well, yes, I am walking, but at the moment I'm standing still on top of a termite mound, just like David was explaining to you. Now, welcome to all the schools, and my name is Ralph Kirsten, and on the camera I've got Craig with me. Now, please don't forget to send us your questions through your teacher, because we'd love for you to be involved on our interactive bushwalk this afternoon. Now, it's a very cool afternoon, and I'm sure that it's going to be getting a little bit cooler as well as soon as that sun starts to head down towards the horizon. And you see how I'm coming down the side of the termite mound here, and I just want to show you the weather that we are sitting with, because there's a few clouds coming in. It's a bit of strange weather. We don't normally have this in winter, because normally it's very dry and there's not many clouds around at this time of year for us. I'm sure in your part of the world it's a little bit different because you guys are heading into summer, isn't that correct? Now, I just wanted to show you something that I picked up as I was walking out this afternoon, and I wanted to ask you, what do you think these little guys are? They look like squirrel skulls, don't they? They look like squirrel skulls, but they're not. They're coming from an actual tree that we've just walked past just over there. Lots of these trees that the leopards like climbing up, and I think that David is heading in our direction where there's a very big surprise for you. But these are seed pods coming from those marula trees, and obviously normally they've got lovely fruit on the outside, but at this time of year in winter they've all been eaten by the squirrels. Now, Charlie, you want to know about that termite mound that I was just standing on. How is it made? Well, it's made over many, many, many years by tiny, tiny little termites that all work together. There are soldiers and workers and a king and queen as well. So they'll all be working together for the bigger betterment of the colony, and they build this like a chimney because underneath they've got lots of fungus that they use to help them digest the grass that they go around and clip, and then they take it on the inside and they feed it to the fungus, and the fungus then is the food for the termites. So this is a chimney for those termites because they need to keep it at the right temperature below the ground for that fungus or mushrooms to grow. So it's very, very interesting, and this is only the tip of the iceberg. Below the ground there's a very big chamber, and you can see we also then have trees and all sorts growing out of it, and also leopards like sitting on top of them because they get a good view. Now, I'm sure that somebody else out there called Taylor, I'm sure she's also got a good view.
Hello to all the children that have just joined us on this live safari. It's so exciting to have you on board. My name is Taylor, and on camera with me today is Ferg, and we are going to go to the coolest watering hole in the whole of the Sabi Sand. So I hope you're all ready to see some hippos, and if we're very lucky, I did see some elephants on their way down there from this morning. So maybe they'll visit us in the dam and then show you how well they can actually swim and wrestle with one another. So hopefully we're going to see all those exciting animals. We're on our way there. There might even be some giraffe because I saw those tall creatures hanging around also in a similar spot this morning. So there are so many things that we could see out on the safari. Have any of you ever been on a safari before? It doesn't have to be a safari in Africa. Have you gone on a tour in one of your national parks? How about that? So you can tell your teachers. If you have, maybe you can tell me where your favorite one was that you've been, which would be very cool. Now, that's something I want to do, is go on an outing in Yellowstone National Park, maybe one day. But anyways, I think I'm going to extend you to David now because he's got some antelope.
Right, boys and girls, we promised you we're going to be showing you lots of beautiful stuff. And if you look there, we got antelopes and two types of antelopes. If you look carefully, they look different, don't they? One has stripes and the other one does not. One has bigger horns, the other one has smaller horns. The one that got stripes is called Anyala. It's called Anyala, and it is a boy because he got horns. You see? And they're very different, but most important, they are all antelopes. If you move to the one on the right, you see them saying hello to each other? Elena, good question. Do we ever get droughts there? Droughts here, rather. We have the winter season now, and when it's winter, everything tends to dry up. But there are also times we go without rain for a long time, and it gets dry. And like any other part of the world, we also get drought. And when there's huge drought, you'll see some animals sometimes struggling to feed themselves. But yes, like any other part of the world, Elena, we also get some drought. So we're looking at the two impalas behind the striped one. And the two that are eating facing the other way are called impalas. Impalas. And both of them, just like the one we saw before, are males. You can see one scratching himself. And they are males because they got the horns. Females of these antelopes do not have horns. And males will have horns because occasionally they fight with each other. Kasia, you are asking why are the antelopes' horns carved? Was that the question? Yes, and what happens is when they grow, they take that formation, and that one makes them look big, and then they look beautiful to the females, and the girls can see them being big, and being carved makes them look good. But there are certain antelopes where their horns, when they grow, are not carved, they grow straight. And because every antelope is different, they'll have different shapes of horns. So that is a male, and is an impala because he got horns. And as I was saying before, sometimes they'll use the horns for fighting. Amora, that's a very good question. How often do we see animals fighting each other? Maybe once in a day, sometimes once in a week, sometimes once in a month. It depends if you're lucky to be there when they're fighting. And I'm sure they're always fighting all the time, but maybe we do not see them. But it depends on the type of animal. It could be an antelope like what you're seeing here. There could be two birds fighting in the air. Or there could be also lions or even leopards fighting. You see, like that one was trying to fight maybe, Amora? They might have heard you maybe. What do you think, Amora? Amora want to see you fighting. How exciting if that could have happened when you asked that very nice question. So it depends on when and where you are. But yes, once in a while, you'll get them fighting. And as I said, it's the males that fight more than the females. And they'll use those horns that you see there to fight each other. It's not a very good thing to do. When I'm saying the males, I'm talking of the boys. So you boys, I'm sure you don't fight. You're always nice kids. But here, the boys' animals will always fight with each other. And whoever wins when they fight will take all the girls. If they're fighting over an area where they get food, whoever wins takes the food. Emmy, very good question. One has stripe and the other one does not have stripe. Did you see that one? Emmy, there's a bird that just landed on the back of that one. And that bird is called an oxpecker. It's called an oxpecker because what it does, it eats any ticks or any mites, any parasites on the top of that animal. The reason why one has stripes and these two that you can see here do not have any stripes, it's because they are different types of antelopes. So these ones are called impalas, and the one that we saw earlier that has the stripes is called anyala. So we'll move on now, but if you see anyala, Amy, I'm going to show you, and you see why they're different. Because there are two different types of antelopes. We got the impala with no stripes, and the nyalas with stripes. All right. I'm loving your questions, and that's how you're going to keep engaging us. So the more questions you bring to us, the more animals are going to show you. Now we'll move forward and find out what else we got to show you. It could be any big animals, small animals, looking at the grass, looking at the tall trees, looking for birds flying. Very good. And as I just told you, we'll also be looking at big animals. And I think there's someone who has a big antelope now.
We've got one of the biggest antelope in the area, and this one is called a kudu, and this is a big male, and there are actually two of them, but they're looking at something. Maybe they were listening. See, the really cool thing out here is that all the animals talk to one another, even though we can't understand them. The birds can tell them when there's a leopard or a lion around or a hyena, and maybe that's what they were saying. Maybe they were chatting about something, because I can hear some birds calling in the distance. But I don't know where they are. Although it's never really quiet out here. There's always somebody talking. Now, Zach, you're wondering, what are the antelopes predators? Well, they are leopards and lions, like I just mentioned, and then also hyena. And hyena in this area, and especially a little bit further south, on the Sand and the Sabi River. Something's just made them a bit nervous. There are lots and lots of hyenas that actually go after these kudu. Let me see if I can go forward a little bit for you. He's just hiding away. Let's do this. I've just pulled off the road. Here we go. Now we can see him again. And they're the ones that will normally eat the kudu. But it depends, though, because this is a very, very big animal. So really only lions and leopards, lions and hyenas will be the ones that can take these guys down. A big male leopard, he might be able to, but leopards prefer to go for other things. They don't often go for big kudus, although I know this one young male leopard killed a female kudu, which I couldn't believe. It was so impressive. So I suppose anything is possible. They are very powerful animals too, but so are the kudu. The kudu are incredible when it comes to jumping. They can jump straight over the fences, these big game fences. And Joshua, you've asked, what is an antelope's diet? Well, the kudu is very lucky because it eats for a variety of different things. So it eats those leaves that we're looking at over there. Sometimes they'll nibble on fruit, but they typically like to eat a variety of different leaves. But once we've had the rain in the summer months, and it's been, you can see all the grass is nice and, well, not nice, it's really yellow and dry at the moment, but once it goes all nice and green, the kudus will sometimes graze as well, so they'll make use of all the nice, lovely, juicy grass that's just come through after the dry winter when everything hasn't been too good. But he's gone now. He's disappeared off into the distance, so we're going to carry on making our way to that dam that I was telling you about, which is going to be really cool once we get there. It's nice to see those kudu. They normally run away from me very quickly. Bye, kudu. Maybe we'll see some more. See, sometimes the leopards like to live down in here and up top. I've seen lots of leopards around here before, so it's always good to check, to have a little look around. See what else we can find. We're just on one of the main roads at the moment. I'm just trying to quickly zip off of it. There have been lots and lots of cars going up and down here, so I don't know how many footprints we're going to see down in the sand. But sometimes the animals like to move around during the day. So maybe we get lucky. But we're almost there. We're not far away from that dam, so soon I'll have lots of animals for you. Off you go to, well, Ralph on the bushwalk, see what else he's found.
So everyone, as we're walking here through the bush, we say the bush when we actually mean all this area. When we say the bush in South Africa, it's not meaning that we're standing in a bush. It's like walking in the wild. Now out here in the wild, you see there's lots of grass around me, and all of it looks the same if you look at it from a distance. But there's all sorts of different kinds of grass here, and I want to show you a couple of different ones. That one there is one of the love grasses, and it's called a sawtooth love grass because you can see the little saw teeth on the seeds. Now that's not a grass that a lot of the animals like to feed on, so the wildebeest and the zebra are not really liking that one too much. And another one that they also don't like too much is that one. Look how it spikes up at the top. It almost looks like fingers that are pointing up towards the sky, doesn't it? So that's called finger grass. And that's also a very interesting grass, but not another one that the animals don't like to eat. And another one that they don't like to eat, there's lots of that grass that animals don't like to eat, is this one. And this one is the reason why I've actually got funny things on my legs, but I'll show you those in a minute, because these little spiky things, they like to get into my socks. And so you see these funny, strange things that I've got just over my shoes? Well, that's why I'm wearing it, because of these little spiky things that like to go into my socks. And it's really, really interesting. Kayan, I've had many ticks stuck on me, and that's why every day when I get back, especially when I've been walking through the grass like this, I will go and check my legs and make sure that I get rid of all those ticks, because you know what they do? They sit on top of the grass and they just wait like this, and when they feel a little vibration, they put their arms out, and as soon as you walk past, they just cling on and they go for a ride. It's like catching a taxi, and they get very irritating, do the ticks, because once they bite you, you can get very itchy. They're even more itchy than a mosquito bite. But I want to show you the very, very nice grass that is around here. And this is called red grass. And you see why it's called red grass? Because of all that nice red color to it. Now, the animals like to eat this grass. This is one of the best grasses you could get out here, and the wildebeest and zebra will be looking for that. That's one of their favorites. So it all looks the same, but if you're an animal and you like to eat grass, you'll be looking for the little red grass as you walk through the grass like this. And so it's always interesting to see the different species of grass here in between. Now, Kayan, we've got many different species of mammals around here, and antelope. Should we see if we can count them? We've got duiker, we've got steenbok, we've got impala, we've got nyala, we've got kudu, we've got... What else do we have? Come on, Craig, give me a hand. What else do we have? We've got at least 15 to 20 antelope, but I'm being silly in my head. I can't remember exactly the amount of antelope that we have, but not all antelope will eat grass. Some of them also like to eat the leaves, like this tree here, which is a black monkey orange. The kudu, they like to eat this, and so do nyala as well, and the little duikers. So they'll all come and eat these leaves here, and I'm sure you can see there's not too many leaves left on it, because I think all the antelope have been feeding on it. But wildebeest and zebra won't be eating on that particular plant because they like to eat the grass. So you see, there's animals that will eat leaves and animals that will eat grass. What do we call the animals that eat trees or leaves? They are called browsers, and the ones that eat grass, they are called grazers. Right. Now, speaking of grazers and browsers, I wonder if Taylor's found any at the waterhole.
We've got some action. Look at this. Fighting hippos. All the little babies getting out of the way there. I don't know what happened. I don't know if that was between two girls or maybe a boy who was getting too close. Maybe that one on the left is a young male, and maybe he got too close to all the moms and their babies and then went, no, this is not happening. And then they got very angry with one another and they opened their mouths and they were fighting a little bit, but not a serious fight, just a warning. Really, look, see, they're all on that. But we have arrived at Chitwa Dam, like I was telling you. So this is a really cool spot. Oh my goodness, an elephant! Where did you even come from, elephant? Hello? Well, this is nice. Surprise, don't you think? This is a male elephant, a boy elephant. And Damien, you were actually wondering who is bigger, a hippo or an elephant. Well, this is not even a fully grown elephant yet. He's still a youngster. He's still got lots of growing to do. So elephants are the largest land mammals. And hippos are very big too. They don't look very big when they're in the water, but when they come out of the water, they're quite long. They're quite fat as well. They're very big. They're very big. But I bet this elephant is thirsty. It's been quite a warm day. So he's probably been off eating all over water. So sometimes elephants will drink water once a day, sometimes they'll drink it twice a day, or if it's really hot, they'll drink twice and have a swim. I don't think he's going to have a swim. I think he's just come down to gobble up some water. And that's a hippo making that noise that you can hear, those strange grunting sounds. Now, start close to school, you've all asked, where do the animals sleep? Well, wherever they want to. I suppose every animal has got its favorite spot to sleep. Now, elephants don't like to sleep very much. They normally are on the go and eating almost 19 hours every single day. Sometimes they stop for a little siesta under a shaded tree. Normally they stand up, but sometimes they can lay down too. So wherever there's enough shade for an elephant is normally where you'll see them having a sleep. Then hippos sleep during the day. That's cool, eh? So the hippos have been sleeping all day long. So they sleep at opposite times to you and I, although sometimes it is nice to have a nap during the day. Hey, so the hippos have all been resting up, and then later this afternoon, when the sun starts to go down, they're going to get really excited. They're going to make lots of snorting noises. They'll open their mouths and start playing around in the water before they leave the water. And then they go and eat grass. So that's what a hippo does. So they like to sleep in the water. Sometimes when it's a bit chilly though, you'll see them, they come out onto the sandy banks and then they'll just lay there and absorb the sun. That's also one of their favorite things to do. And birds normally like to sleep up in trees where some predators can't get them. Now, Amelia, we were just chatting about how elephants actually like to swim. It's one of their favorite things to do. They often spend lots and lots of time, not just at the dams drinking water, but they'll go in and they'll swim for fun too. And on a really, really hot day, we normally see them swimming. But we're coming into winter now, so I suppose they're not getting as hot as they were a few months ago. So now there's no real need for them to swim. Them sometimes the young boys will go in. Another one. Here's the family. Hi, elephants. See, look at all the little ones putting their trunks up, smelling, trying to figure out if there's any predators at the dam, because even they have to be careful of the lions. Oh my goodness, they've chosen the steepest bank to go down. Look at that. So if any of you thought that elephants weren't very good climbers, watch this. One at a time. You have to engage the 4x4 there. No one's trying to help you. Slowly. There's more coming. Oh my goodness, there's lots of elephants. There's a little baby. Hello, little baby elephant. Quickly. Maybe we'll see what happens here. Now, Rex, you were asking, I don't know what you were asking. What did you just ask? Did you remember? I'm so sorry. I was about to repeat your question and then I completely forgot. What is a tusk on an elephant used for? Well, Rex, those tusks on the elephants, those are actually modified teeth. But those teeth aren't used in the same way that we use teeth. So they've got molars, which are used for grinding up their food. And then the tusks are like a tool. Why are they behaving so strangely? I'm just looking around to make sure that a pack of wild dogs or lions or leopards or something haven't come walking down here. Anyways, so they'll use them as a digging tool. So in the drier months when we don't have any rain, so now in winter, they can actually dig for water by using those tusks in the dry riverbeds. And then they also will use them to strip the bark on trees, because they like to eat the bark in winter. That's an African fish eagle making that sound. This is beautiful. Oh, we're so lucky, but I'm not as lucky as you all are because David has found a cat.
Boys and girls, you are the luckiest school kids I have known for a long time, because now we got something very special for you. We got a cat. And this cat is spotted, and it is a leopard. Don't you think you're lucky? See? And this cat, that's a leopard, we know it, and it is a girl, and if it's a girl, for leopards, we will call it a leopardess, because she is a girl. So we will call it leopardess, and we even know her name, and her name is Tandy. So here, what we do, we know our animals very well, and if you look carefully right below the nose, you can see, I'm not sure whether you can see that, they got like 3 spots, and that's what we use to identify these leopards. So this one is a girl, and I said, because it's a female, she got an attention of something, and maybe she has seen an antelope moving somewhere, and that's why she's looking. And I would say she's a girl because in general, girls tend to be smaller in size than boys. If you'd see a boy next to her of maybe the same age, you see that neck that's a bit wide there? There'll be a huge muscle hanging down there that's called a dewlap. So girls will not have that. And the boys are much bigger in size than the girls. Okay, that's one of the best questions I've ever had. Which is the first cat between cheetah, leopard, and a lion? And I would say cheetahs are the fastest. Cheetahs are a lot faster, and then they're followed by lions and then leopards. Cheetahs can do about 100 kilometers per hour. Leopards can do about 60, and sometimes lions can do up to 80 or 70 kilometers per hour. But cheetahs are the fastest. And having asked a question in terms of speed of the three different cats, one of the major differences between cheetahs and leopards and lions is what Senzo is showing you. And of the three, the ones that are close or similar to each other in terms of the spots are cheetahs and leopards. When you look at leopards, they got spots that we call rosettes, like semicircles. But when you see cheetahs, they got dots on their bodies. You see that? And this might remind you of jaguars. Anybody who have ever seen a jaguar, it is very similar to this in terms of the spot pattern. The difference being the rosettes or the spots you're seeing here or the marking you're seeing here, jaguars will have small little spots inside. Kasha, you're asking, do all leopards have the same color eyes? In general, yes. In general, yes. It may change this way or that way. Because we are all different, just like human beings, but in general, yes, they have the same color eyes. Now, this female leopardess here, she got a cub, she got a baby, and that baby is about 9 months old, and the baby is called Klalamba. And if you're lucky, we might be showing you the baby. What we'll do, we'll move forward a bit and see if we can see or spot the baby for you. Just give me 2 seconds. And you might be lucky also to see the mother and the baby. How is that, Senzo? Oh, keep going. Keep going. Okay. We got friends of ours, you saw, in a vehicle there. Those are other guests also. Maybe they come from America or from Canada, but they are also enjoying this sighting with us. And if you look at that baby there, it seems like that baby is eating lunch. Is it lunch or is it late lunch or early dinner? Look at her. And this girl, or this cub, we know her also. She is a girl. Harry, very good question, and you're asking what a leopard prey. And leopards will hunt antelopes, and they'll hunt antelopes small size, not very big ones. Like what they're eating now is a kind of antelope. I do not know as yet, because we just got here. I do not know what antelope they're eating, but like the impala I was showing you before. Do you remember the impala with the big horns? They'll hunt impalas. Do you remember the other one that had stripes, the nyala? They'll also hunt nyalas, and they hunt all types of antelopes. But what they do, they don't hunt those that are very big than them. But anything of their size, they will hunt. Sometimes they also hunt warthogs, or what you'd call pigs. We'll be finding out what this one is exactly eating. But in the meantime, let me just move forward a little bit. And we'll allow friends of ours who are behind us also to come and have a good view. And then we shall be seeing the mother. Possibly we'll see the mother and the baby together. Just hang on for a second. How is it, Senzo? Okay. All right. Now, we'll go back to the mother. And if you look carefully, the mother is just watching the cub eating. Just like how your mom at home will make some nice lunch or some nice dinner for you. And she'll be watching as you're eating. Look at her there. She's such a nice mother. And remember I told you we know her, and her name is Tandy. So she got 3 spot patterns on the nose, or just on each side of the nose, and the cub, interestingly, got 5 spots on each side. Can you see the eyes? I'm sure there's a girl or a boy who had asked me about the colors of the eyes of these leopards. Can you see the eyes there? In general, that will be the colors of the eyes of these leopards. They may change this way or that way. Just as I said, even as human beings, we may have a bit of color variation, or our eyes color might change a little bit. And you can see how comfortable she is. This is so beautiful. You are so lucky. And to see a mother and a cub having a meal and the cub eating is pretty special. We'll stay here a little bit longer. I'm not going anywhere, but let's find out if someone has a very big mammal.
That you will. Look at our elephants. They're so cute. The little baby was trying to do handstands now. It was very funny to watch. But look how amazing is this? Look at all those elephants. They're all saying hello to one another. They're saying hello to that young bull. Just legs and trunks anywhere, everywhere. And tails. There's an elephant appearing out of that hole. Hello. Very peaceful here too, although there were some birds that were shouting. I don't know why they're shouting. But they're not shouting at the elephants, that's for sure. How cool is this? Look at that tiny little one in there, staying very close to Mom. Elena, we try not let the animals chase us, and they don't just chase you all of a sudden. Normally they tell you when they're a little bit unhappy. So we are very, very good at reading animal behavior. That's something that you have to learn when you're out here with these wild animals. So we have a very nice relationship with them. We come in here, we look at them, we view them with our eyes, and they're happy to walk in and amongst the cars too, but eventually they'll just carry on with their day. And if they don't want to be seen, then they tell you that they're very unhappy and that they don't want to be looked at. And then you go and find some more elephants somewhere else. That's normally the best thing to do. And this is very cool. We're very lucky to be experiencing this. Now, Jonathan, you've asked what is the average amount of elephants in a group. It kind of depends. This is quite a nice herd of elephants. There must be about 20 of them here, maybe just less than 20. I would say that's about a normal size. But now as we go into the drier months, into winter, sometimes you can see really big herds too. Like once I've seen over 100 elephants together in South Africa and in this area too. So it can happen. You've just got to be patient enough. So sometimes the different herds join up together when they're walking far distances to try and find some more water, or they're trying to find nice green grass. Look at these elephants. They're all scratching themselves. Some of them look like they were having a little rest. I'm hoping they're going to have a dust bath. Also, what the animals like to do is also rest their feet up on stones. Look at that. What are you doing? What are you training for? Maybe he's going to do some safari parkour. You know, when you see those people that are able to bounce from wall to wall and climb up ladders really quickly and slide down ladders really quickly. They do it in the city. Maybe the elephants do that and jump from rock to rock and tree to tree. And that's what that young elephant is practicing for. This is so awesome. We've got itchy feet. And they do get very, very itchy ankles as well. You find lots of ticks and flies like to bite them around there. So they're always scratching their ankles. There's lots of little blood vessels there, but they've had their drink. Now Mom is saying, right, off we go. She's going to lead them back to go and eat again. Jolina, I've never felt an elephant's skin before, so I don't know. These are all wild animals, so you can't touch these elephants at all. And I would imagine they'd be quite prickly, because elephants have got lots of body hair too, so they've got like little bristles all over their bodies that cover them. So I'd imagine they'd be quite prickly. Ferg, have you ever touched an elephant before? I have. What does it feel like?
Very hard leather with wiry hair.
So very hard leather, like touching a really old leather couch. And
softly hard. I don't know how to explain.
See, Ferg's even saying it's very difficult to explain. You kind of just have to be able to feel it for yourself. But he says, and then those bristles are very wiry. So even though elephants have got thick skin to try and protect them from all the thorns and things like that, they can still feel a little old fly sitting on their backs because of all that hair. This is amazing that we've got all the elephants moving around us like this. What you doing, little one? See, you've got itchy feet. Trying to scratch his back legs. This is really cool. They're all doing their own thing. Everybody's having a great time at the pool. Now, Mia, elephants can live for a very, very long time. And you're wondering how long can they live for? What is their lifespan? Well, elephants' life is actually decided on how long their teeth hang around for. So if their molars, so not their tusks, if those teeth inside their mouth wear down too quickly, that can mean that they won't live as long. But they normally live around 60 to 70 years, somewhere around there or so. So how crazy is that? So if anybody wants to become an elephant dentist, there's a big market out there for you. And you just having a rest. on the little wall there. So that's a man-made wall that was built to help create this dam and to just hold the road in place. Hello, big girl. You just always have to watch the elephants when they come close to the cars. Ooh, now I was talking about elephants doing safari parkour, but it seems as though Ralph has beat the elephants to it.
Well, everyone, I'm up a tree, just like one of my friends was a while ago. And Craig, my cameraman there, he was telling me that Brent, one of the other guides, he fell out of this tree when he climbed up it. So I'm not going to go up where he did because I don't want to fall out like he did as well. But this tree is a perfect tree for the leopards that like to climb up into the trees, especially when they've killed themselves something to eat. Why do they take those animals up a tree? So that they avoid being able to get caught by the lions and hyenas and all sorts. And I tell you, if I was out here and there was a buffalo or an elephant around, I might also come up a tree and get away from them so that I could be safe. But at least there's no elephants and buffalo around for now. But the elephants do like eating some of these leaves off of this tree. And what tree is this? It's called a torchwood. And why is it called a torchwood? Well, because the old people that used to live around in these parts, they used to take the seeds from this tree and squash it, and it used to make a little liquid that they could light, and it would burn for very long, almost like a candle or a torch. So that's why this tree is called a torchwood. And it's also good feed for lots of animals, and it also does have very nice bark and lots of holes in it. So there's lots of animals that live inside here, and little lizards and all sorts of insects and spiders. So I'm just being very careful as I move around here, because I just need to be a little bit careful. But, well, I'm up a tree, and I know someone else that is with an animal that also likes being up trees.
We are still enjoying Tandy. Remember, I told you the name of this girl here. We sometimes say she's the prince, or rather she is, the queen of this area. And we call her Tandy, and her daughter is the princess, and we call her Klalamba, and she's about 9 months old, and the daughter is still enjoying the meal. I haven't been able to find out what she's eating, but my guess it was a small antelope, and this antelope, or the antelopes that we call duikers, and I'm thinking it could have been a small duiker, and that's what she's feeding on. Many times you see leopards, when they make kills, they'll always drag their food or their kills up a tree. And by so doing, they make sure the other animals cannot reach it. Not many animals or many predators are good in climbing. You see that tree there? That tree is called a jackberry tree, and it's such a nice tree for a leopard to take its food up. And once up there, no other animal that is going to reach it. That's one advantage leopards have that other animals don't have. Kevin, that's a good question, and you're asking, do leopards come in packs? Of all the cats we have in Africa, leopards are very solitary. Now, here we got two because it is a mother and a baby. Sometimes we might see two fully grown ones, and it'll be a boy or a girl when they're just about to make babies. And once they finish making babies, they go separate ways. So leopards do not come in packs. Leopards do not come in groups. They live on their own. The only other cat or predators that you'll see in groups in general will be the lions. And once in a while, you might also see cheetahs, either a mother and a few cubs, or you might see 3 or 4 boys living together. But specifically, like this sleepy leopardess here, they'll always be on their own. So at one point, when this cub will be about 2 years old, the mother is going to show her the door and will tell her, now go live your life. Just like you kids, I'm sure most of you are maybe between 11, 12 years old or 10 years old. When you'll be getting to about 18, your parents will be happy to know you're independent, you're big enough to take care of yourselves, and you can live your own lives by the time you're turning 20. So this cub here is about 9 months old, but when she'll be about 2 years, she'll go her life, or 2.5 years, and she'll be able to hunt for herself. Anything after about 1 year or 1 year and a half, they start hunting small animals. But by 2 years, 2.5, the mother will know, my daughter now can live on her own. She can go, feed herself, and she can go get her own babies. You kids are very lucky. So leopards, these are we call this the African leopard, and I'm sure you have heard of snow leopards. Those are the ones maybe you could be having where you come from, but these particular ones here, we call them African leopards. Other different leopards that occur in the world are like the snow leopards that may look white and maybe not have spots or patterns like what you see here. This one is she opened her eyes. I wanted to say she is very sleepy, like cats, how they normally take naps. But then she opened her eyes to tell me, David, I'm not sleepy. All right, all of you nice kids, boys and girls, I request you one thing. Remember to keep focusing on science and social studies because it's very related to what we just shown you. And it was very nice to have you on board. Stocklosa Middle School, Henry B. Buckland School, Lakeside Elementary School, thank you so much for your questions. Thank you so much for your comments. And hopefully we'll be seeing you again pretty soon. Thank you. And from all of us, goodbye. Let's find out what Ralph is tracking now.
Well, it's a little bit difficult at this time because there's not too much for us to track. So I'm just going to continue looking for all sorts of little critters around because Herbie went out this afternoon and he did survey the perimeter. And it seems like none of the usual suspects out here on the western side have made a return, such as the cheetah and Shudulu, the female leopard, as well as Hukumuri, the male leopard. And while I'm saying that, welcome back to all the normal viewers as we have now left the school drive. So please don't forget to join us on the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter and on the YouTube live chat. Send us your questions and your comments, and also let us know what you would like us to look for, what you would like us to discuss. Is there any tracks that you would like me to focus on? Otherwise, I'm just going to be looking for the usual suspects and also just chatting about whatever interesting that I come across. It would be great though if you guys joined us with your interests and your nice things that you would like to know us about. So we're just going to head in a southerly direction and see if maybe in the meantime a little bit later this afternoon Shudulu and Hukumuri make an appearance and we'll pick up on their tracks. In the meantime, back to Taylor at Chitwa.
Maybe Shudulu. I did hear that she was in the far west. Welcome back, everybody. Also, I obviously found out what happened with the Nkuhumas. The Nkuhumas had a fight with a clan of hyena. Well, they didn't quite have a fight. There was a bit of a squabble, and the lions lost. But that's also, I suppose, because most of the lions had actually got up and left the carcass, and there was just 3 that were holding on to the buffalo. And I think at one point I counted about 13 hyenas, and it was amazing to watch from the video the intimidation sort of method that the hyenas were using, rowing one another up by vocalizing quite heavily and then slowly moving in and sort of hacking at those the lions, and then off they went. But look, I've got the elephants again. The same herd we were watching with the school. They're going to come through here. We're just going to have to be patient. They're feeding at the moment, so they're not moving as quickly as the others were. Not at the other ways, I don't know what I'm talking about. So this is quite nice. The elephants just feeding through. I'm glad that we managed to catch up to them again a second time. I was hoping so. I do enjoy spending my time with the elephants, and it'll be nice to see what this herd actually gets up to. They're probably going to pass right next to us. And if there is a leopard in here, hopefully they're going to flush one out, because this is also the same, or the very same spot we were this morning when we had all those squirrels alarming, when we had all the francolins and all the different creatures threatening that there was something in the bushes. But it could have just been a raptor. We don't know. We don't actually know. But our chances are pretty good. If there was something fast asleep in here, it won't be fast asleep for too long. There was a helicopter coming over as well, in case you can hear it. There's a helicopter. Andy, yes, there's a reason for elephants having such big ears. So the most important reason for elephants out here, it's a way to help keep themselves cool. So essentially their ears act like a radiator. There are lovely thin blood vessels in there, and if they flap them around, they basically cool that bloodstream down directly, and that filters right through their bodies. So they use them for that. And then the other important thing is that they use them as, well, fly swatters. So like a tail would function as a fly swatter, so do the elephant's ears. So that helps keep the nasty flies and things away from their eyes. And as you know, flies and bugs like to gather around moisture, so they go straight towards those elephants' eyes. And then the other thing is, it actually helps them when it comes to trying to defend themselves. So even though an elephant is the largest land mammal, sometimes they too need to make themselves look big and scary, and by opening their ears and, well, sort of throwing their heads around, they can appear to be quite intimidating. Just waving to all the lovely guests that are around. I think they're going to sneak behind me. We'll watch this little group, and then we'll let the others get the group behind us. But this is very nice. So thank you very much for your question. Tiniest goes, good spotting. Just like I think we've been spotted by this young elephant on the left. I don't know, it's eyed us out, and just watching it, that little fella has definitely seen us. Now, the reason why they do secrete from the sides of their heads, this little one isn't showing much at the moment. It's because they basically have an overstimulation of adrenaline, which can mean a number of different things. So we call that their temporal glands, and it can indicate stress or excitement. It can be that they're frustrated, might mean that they're sick. It can mean a number of different things. So normally elephants secrete at this time of the year. Actually, not right now, but in a little while, because of food availability, and that the nutrition of the food changes. Hello, big girl. Now she's even just watching us as she goes past. You can see how close she was. Hi, elephants. Let's not play pin tailor in. Hello, big girl. Oh, everybody's doing the Sabi Sand shuffle today and coming right past us. I'm, of course, just sitting up, just watching them. Make sure that we haven't got any elephants sneaking up from behind. That's something you don't want. You do not want to be surprised by an elephant. And if you're thinking, how on earth can you be surprised by an elephant? It is possible. It is most certainly possible. And I've had first-hand experience as a young girl. Hi, Elise. Oh, my goodness. And then, again, this is round 2.0 with elephant training. Yes? Are you that terrified of me? Surely not. Again, it's a young female. The reason why I say again is because I've come to the conclusion that once they reach about 5 years old to about 15 years old, they're always the ones that come around the car and cause a bit of trouble. I'm thinking, can we roll back? Oh yes, Ferg, we can do that. We can do silent safaris now. Wonderful. Well, I'm just going to roll on into position, and we're going to sit with these elephants for as long as we can, but I suppose you'd like to go and see that creature with spots.
Elephants are always exciting, and I would say one of the animals the leopards don't like seeing near them are elephants, because, for example, where Tandy is, and a very big welcome number one to start with for our regular viewers, that is Tandy. Remember, Tandy, we had lost them together, being together with Klalamba, the daughter. For those of you who have never joined us before and do not know what this leopardess is, we call her Tandy. We call her Tandy, and she got a daughter that is called Klalamba. So Tandy is her name, and her princess is called Klalamba. And I was talking about how leopards don't like seeing, leopards don't like seeing elephants because they've always made them jump out of a tree, especially even when they have a kill, because they'll always want to threaten them if they need to eat any fruit on that particular tree. There down is the daughter of Tandy, and as I said earlier, her name is Kalamba. She's about 9 months old, born November last year, and she's feeding on something. She's feeding on antelope. We haven't been able to identify what kill or what antelope it was or it is, but my guess is it could be, or it could have been a duiker. She's hiding it so well as she is feeding on it, and either the mother must have fed before and she's not interested, she's just enjoying her nap and enjoying the daughter having a meal. Look at that beautiful face of Tandy. We saw her yesterday, for anybody who had been on board with us yesterday, and I kept saying my biggest joy will be when I would see both of them together, because a few days ago we had seen Kalamba, the daughter, on her own, and we were like, where is the mother? She's just too young to be on her own. And we had all these theories, teenage behavior, she's out going, trying to show the mother I can be independent, but not at 9 months, not until they're 2 years, 2.5 years. That's a good age for the mothers to let go, and they'll be, sure the cubs will make it in life. At that time, they know how to hunt, they know how to sharpen their claws, they know how to mark their territories. Sorry, Curtis, what was the question? Curtis, that's a very good question. How do we tell leopards apart? For this particular one, as I said earlier, we know her name, and we have given her the name Tandy, and Senzo is trying to bring you so close to what we use to identify the leopards. And if you look slightly above the whiskers there's some like dots joined together, but above them there are 3 dots. You see those 3 dots there? Now, it has 3 dots on that one side, and on the other side it has other 3 dots. So we call it spot pattern, and that's what we use to identify them apart. So some will have 3, some will have 2, some will have 4, some will have 5. So this particular leopardess has 3, and her daughter, who is called Kalamba, got 5. I would just hope maybe at one point she is going to stand when she gets full, and maybe we see her face, but she got 5 spots on one side and 5 spots on the other. Somehow they are always even, either 2, 3, 4, 5. So Tandy got 3, and the daughter got 5. But at the moment I think she's just too busy. I'm not sure she's interested in us seeing the spot pattern that she got on her nose, and food to her is a priority at the moment. I would wonder why the mother did not take the tree or the kill up the tree. Maybe wondering if Kalamba would have been able to climb the tree just next to the kill they got. Maybe the angle, maybe it's too wide. See that tree there? Josh, you're asking how old can leopards get? Anything 12 years is an average lifespan, but some have gone to 13 and 14. Around this area where we are of Juma, we got one big male that we call Tingana, and he's about 12, and he looks to be in very good shape. So they can live for long. 15 years have been recorded, and I think the 15 is the longest I know of. But yeah, I mean, they can go up to 14, 15 max, I would guess. But of course, it depends on the individual. Some will die at 10, 11, or 12. And again, so many factors come in play. Availability of food, challenges they face from other predators like hyenas or lions, or territory size. Sometimes they fight with each other, and fighting doesn't mean that's your lifespan. Sometimes the fights are fatal. So all this happens. Sometimes you've seen lions coming for leopards and killing them. Unfortunately, leopards could be poisoned for one reason or another. For example, in the villages, if leopards keep sneaking and going to people's homes and they get goods, like the village I come from way back, we had leopards that would come and sneak at night, and there are times we could even lose about 20 goat and 20 sheep in one night. not eating them all. They would get one, eat it, and then they just kill the rest, get a bit of blood here, kill the other one, and they would move away. And the following morning, Kalamba, can you have a look at your face now? You might be hearing some firing shots out there. We got other friends of ours, guests who are enjoying this beautiful sighting, and they got cameras with big zooms, almost like 100, 1,000 millimeters, huge, like guns. And that is the princess of Tandy. See the communication she is having with the tail. There's something that's got her attention. And they might have seen something together with the mother. See, both of them are looking in the same direction. Look at how she jumps, and look at her belly. I don't know how many pounds she got, and that's a sign of happiness. That's a happy baby. And there's a lot of body language on the tails. Minamu, good question. Are leopard cubs born with full set of teeth? No, the teeth will develop after about 20 days. That's when you start seeing small teeth coming out. And they're born teethless, unlike the hyena cubs. Hyena cubs have known they've been, they're born with teeth. But Minamu, yes, your question was, are they born with their teeth? Not really. I think the cubs of leopards are born blind, and they are not born with teeth. But anything after about 20 days or 22 days or so, the teeth start showing and start coming out of their gums. And so once in a while you see cubs, like lion cubs, also like leopards cub, chewing sticks maybe when the teeth are coming out, and they become a bit itchy. I could be wrong, but I think leopards, once all the teeth have erupted, they may have a similar dentation formula, Minamu, like us, of about 32 teeth. That's my guess. I think they got total 32 teeth, like human beings. And now it's time for the Queen of Juma, Tandy, to go for the kill and to go find out, what their daughter left behind. How respectful is the mother, eh? She gave the daughter all the time to feed, and now it is her time to go and feed. My guess is still a daika. Julie, you say, wow, she has grown so much since you last saw her. In fact, when I saw her 5 days ago in the evening, I mistook her for a fully grown female leopardess because it was a bit dark. And yes, she has grown big. And, we saw her jumping, and she was looking at some hippos near waterhole. And look at her. Hopefully she's going to stand up, Julie, and you see, look at her, how she's trying to crouch there. And there's a bird making some noise from the background, and you can see the language from her tail. And now, because she is too full, she might start trying to play with some francolins or small little animals that she may see. And yes, she has grown very big. The mother also takes attention. They will never eat without looking, just in case hyenas have picked the smell of the daika. Hyenas might come. That's a very typical hunting or stalking mode. And what I've learned out, so many things they learn on their own, not what their mothers teach them. We have always sometimes thought cats will always teach their cubs how to survive, how to hunt, how to jump on trees when something goes wrong. But most of them are reflexes, and maybe they watch and they see their mothers doing stuff, and they're like, in terms of danger, I have to jump up a tree, and if the hyenas coming, they will not get me. Lions may not be able to climb trees. And we've got francolins there in the background. Or what we hear, one side is francolins and the other side are arrow-marked babblers. Exactly. Those are the crested francolin. Thank you so much, Enzo. And I did trying to intimidate Kalamba, but I don't think she is worried by that, because the francolins know once in a while also leopards go for them as a quick snack. She's now just licking herself after having a wonderful meal. Sometimes they get bloody on their paws as they keep holding the meal in position. This is just wonderful to see them together. I was saying the other day, my biggest joy is when I'll see the Queen of Juma with her princess together. Let's find out what tracks Raf might be having at the moment.
So, well, I'm going to wait for you to tell me what I have on the ground here. We've got some tracks. It's not the easiest light because we've got quite a bit of cloud around, and very often when that happens we don't have contrast on the track and it can be quite difficult to see. But I've circled 2 different tracks here, and the one that Craig is looking at is the first one, and I'd like to ask from you, the viewers, what animal do you think this is that has passed here? And where my little stick is, we can see that there's a little impression there, there's one there, and then there's another one there. And it looks like a little bit of a drag mark, and then another one there, there, and there. Another drag mark, and there, there, there. So this animal was moving in that particular direction, almost a little bit drunk, as he curved his way up along the road. So it's quite a little bit of a up and down. Coast Cider, it's not a guinea fowl, because if you look at the size of the track, and I just put my little Leatherman there to give you some scale, a guinea fowl track is pretty much the size for me from my knuckle to the end of my finger. And if I put that next to the track there, you can see that that is much smaller than that. So you are quite right in that it's a bird, but it's not. Jocelyn and Michael, you say hornbill. A hornbill, no. If I draw a little hornbill track for you, a hornbill has a little bit of a curled finger like that, 3 of them, and then the one at the back, and I'm making it much bigger than it normally is, and then it goes to the left like that. So very curled fingers, and then one at the back, that would be the right foot, and here would be the left foot. That's why we call them the flying bananas as well, not only because they have the bill that looks like a banana, but also their track. Angie, you say a pigeon, also a little bit too small for a pigeon, but not a bad guess. It's very close to a pigeon, but a pigeon would be slightly bigger than that. So it's something very close. Crazy, you say you can't tell without the poo. Good answer, Crazy. I think exactly like you. I'll try and find some poo of this bird. I haven't seen any. Zach, you say dove. Absolutely, Zach. And I'm thinking that this is most likely that of an emerald-spotted wood dove. It's either that or Cape turtle dove, but if you were being assessed as a tracker, it wouldn't matter. You could say dove. Now, the next one that we want to have a look at, he's also been jumping up and moving all over the road, and it's this one here. There's lots of them all over the road, but what we can see there at the back, a little back pad, then we've got a finger, and a finger there with looks like a little nail, a finger there with a little nail, and another one with a little nail there, and possibly a little one on the side there as well. And he has moved up the road, all the way up the road like this, in that direction, and he's shifted up like that over there. So, you guys, that's the second track of the day. Also an animal that likes moving on the road, as do doves. We find lots of animals moving on the road. Why would they do that? Well, it's because they always find the path of least resistance, and so why wouldn't you use the road? Leopards do it, lions do it. Jocelyn, very, very good guess. However, you are just a little bit out. It's not a mongoose, but it would be a very good answer because this track is very often confused with a mongoose. Why it's not a mongoose is because a mongoose has little fingers as opposed to these long... they don't have fingers, they have little pads as opposed to fingers. And Johan, you say genet. Also, a genet also has pads as opposed to little fingers on like that. So it's you guys are both very, very close, but no cigar. Not quite yet. So there's probably just one answer that everybody's not getting. Come on, guys. Let's think about it. What's the animal that often gives away the leopards in the area? Let's think about that one. And they're often jumping up along the road. Sorry, what did Zach say? Luke? Zach, you are also a little bit out. Spring hare, they don't have tracks like this. Gina, you are absolutely correct. That is a very nice little squirrel track, and you see how it's got the fingers in it with the little nails on the end. So nice one, guys. Very often these simple little tracks of very common animals can get us very confused, especially on a day like this when there's no contrast. So well done, everyone. Those are our 2 little tracks for the afternoon. We might do some more if we find some exciting ones. And we'll keep walking along the road that's not too well driven on, because it's always the best tapestry for us to find lots and lots of tracks to talk about. So I'll keep searching for lots as we move along. And I hope that I could find some very exciting ones and some unusual ones, and of course I'm hoping that we might find some leopard, wild dog or lion tracks. But speaking of leopard, let's go back to one.
Very good. Very good. Good luck. Good luck, Ralph. Your tracking, I'm sure, might bring us another leopard today. And that's Kalamba trying to hide from the camera. But we can see you, Kalamba. Don't hide. We can see you. We know you are now very happy. You're together with Mom. You have just had your great meal. And as I was saying earlier, I'm so full of joy today to see Mama and the cub together. I guess what they've been eating is a daika, and I've been wondering why Tandy did not, pull it up the tree. And anybody who might have joined us now, we've got some beautiful sighting of 2 leopards, a mother and her cub, and that's the cub, and her name is Kalamba, born November last year. She's having a bit of a stretch. Look at her, see how majestic she is. She wants to do a toilet break maybe. She has been eating so much. If you hear any firing in the background there, those are good friends of ours, some guests with the big cameras just shooting. And you can see the panting, a clear indication when a cat is very well fed. Don't touch that girl. You're asking, can you tell if the animals are sick by the movement of their tail? Yes, for leopards, they have a lot of body language using their tails. Leopards use more. If you look at the 3 cats that we got here, the lions, cheetahs and leopards do a lot of body language using their tail. And should you see its tail movement not as aggressive either, she may not be happy, I would say, but of course, if not happy, definitely you can see from the face. But yes, if there's not a lot of movement on the tail, something would be very, very wrong with that leopard. What we pick very easily, if they're going on a hunting, for example, if this is a daika they brought down, and the daika unfortunately or fortunately spots the leopard, and the tail will be up for the leopard, we have always seen the leopard like just flapping the tail down, like indicating game over, and well, I've been spotted, this is done, so I have to look for another prey. For leopards, yes, body language on the tail is very important. And this one, if you look carefully, you can see she got 5 spots on top of that continuous line. If you can count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and she'll also be having 5 on the other side, and that's what we use here to identify leopards. We call it spot pattern. And each leopard will have a different spot pattern from the other. Although it's sometimes rather difficult to tell from the rosettes on their bodies. Aha, Daniel, you're asking, when we read the spot pattern, is it from left to right or right to left? It's the topmost spots, and you can read them from any direction. The very top line, if you look carefully there, they're like two like more or less continuous dots that are like touching each other, but on top there's some dots that are like spaced to each other. So whichever way you look at it, left or right or left, they should total 5. That's what you look at. The very top one, just very close to the nose, or above the like continuous black line there. That's what you look at. Some of the old, leopards or males, we can tell from their ears. Paula, very good question. How much do I think she weighs? Well, a fully grown leopardess would weigh anything about 40 kilos. I'm talking about 35, 40 kilos, maybe 70, 80 pounds. I would give her maybe guessing about 7 kilos, maybe about 18 going to 20 pounds. That's the guess. That's what I would think. Now, Kalamba is rather difficult to tell from that size, but if I would give her about anything 6 or 7 kilos, I would say, yeah, she could be going to about 15, 18, 20 pounds there. But that's just a wild guess. But that's a very good question, Paula. And I hope, Paula, you've been watching Kalamba growing, and she's looking to be a future leopardess in this area of Juma. She looks very, switched on. And she's just watching now the mother feeding. It was time to change guts. She was eating before, the mother was watching. But now Kalamba is watching the mother eating and said, Mom, you're a good mother. Taylor, how is your drive now? Any news? What are you watching? What are you doing, Taylor?
Maurice says hello. In case anyone was wondering where Maurice is, there he is, my elephant. Well, David, you know what? You're just doing such a great job today. Like, everyone's raving about you. We just thought we'd take the afternoon off. We're just enjoying the scenery. We're looking for more elephants. We haven't found anything just yet. So we're slowly heading towards the west, where I was supposed to go this morning, but I didn't make it. I didn't get there in time. So we thought we would try and do a few loops down there. And then Ferg and I have had a discussion, and we've decided that by 5 o'clock we will be back at Chitwa. We'll be listening out for Tingana. Maybe he's going to do another territorial patrol and start calling for us. I'm hoping his route is going to land him back up on Torchwood. If he hasn't, I'm not on Torchwood, from Torchwood to Chitwa, if he hasn't made a kill in Torchwood. I don't think anybody has gone looking for him though. So that's really the plan for this afternoon. Hukamori, I don't know where he has been hanging around, to be honest. The guys haven't seen him. Trying to think when they last saw him. Maybe he's still mating with Tiani. That's why he could be MIA, just out of sight. But of course he could pop back at any moment too. So I think it's a good idea that we do just check down in the west. I don't think it was searched extensively today. No, that's an interesting question from Patrick. Which large animals have the largest predictable... What is it? Predictable pattern route, migration. I suppose migrational route. Something along those lines. Maybe elephants. I think Ralph was just here, to be honest, because I saw lots of circling on the ground. So I think Ralph was around. Oh, there's a big kudu, but he's running and he's not going to stop. I don't think we're going to get him. Off he goes. We will get some more kudu because there are lots around today. So Patrick, I'm going to say elephants, just because I suppose most of the time we know that they're going to water. They'll be walking from point A to point B to normally find water and to find nice grasslands or areas that are wooded that they can, will sustain them for a few days. So yeah, I think I'm going to say elephants, but otherwise wildebeest is another good example. Hippo too, yeah. We see exactly the routes that they walk. So maybe something like a hippo is a little bit more predictable because they're more prone to stay in a body of water. If it's lots of water, they're going to stay there for as long as they can, and they're not going to move away just because they wanted to change, unless they got pushed out by another male hippo, or I don't know, maybe lions were in the area and they got scared and then they ran away and utilized another watering hole. Something like that happened, which I suppose is possible. So maybe hippos are a little bit more predictable because they tend to always go back to that same spot. Especially now, Chitwa Dam is going to be a hot spot for lots of hippos. They're all going to be going there knowing that it's one of the few places where there's actually water. I mean, there's the odd few at Buffelshoek Dam, and then that's all. I mean, as we head into winter, we're probably going to see one hippo maybe decide to take up the little pan where the dam cam is. That always tends to happen in winter. And then they just ruin the nice drinking water for the rest of the animals, because animals like to come and drink there because it's clean, it's pumped water. So we went past Treehouse Dam hoping to find something. We didn't. There were some blacksmith lapwings. That was really all. We were trying to actually show you some oxpeckers drinking water. The oxpeckers then flew away. So now we're on the fire break, and I think we're going to go, I haven't decided yet. Maybe we'll do Mendoza Road, that new road, and head towards the west, towards Triple M area, and see if there's anything down there. It's quite nice. The sun's going to obviously disappear a lot earlier than it does with all the clouds that we have around us. Well, you can see it's very pretty. Clouds are creating beautiful, beautiful skies today. Isn't that lovely? So hopefully we're going to find you something that will sit still for us. But luckily you've got Ralph, who seems to be doing lots of tracking quizzes.
Now, everyone, this is a track of an animal that we don't get to see very often around here. And it's also quite strange for me, because in other parts of the Kruger National Park and areas where I've worked, we see them very regularly. Now, it's almost like a mini leopard track, because it's very round, it's got a very clear back pad, and 1, 2, 3, 4 toes. And very often you can see the little claws in front, which I think you can here, just very indistinctly, but they are there too. So, very round track with, it looks like 2 lobes, but there might be a tiny little one in between there, but very symmetrical. The back pad right up against the front pads as well. You can see there's no space in between, so it's not one of your jackals or dog-like animals. It's definitely a cat-like animal, and that's one of a civet. So a civet walking up the road here, and as I say, don't get to see too many of them around. Oh, the viewers, you guys were guessing cheetah. Well, the reason it's not a cheetah is because of the size of it. I just put my hand next to it. That's first and foremost. It's very small for a cheetah track. Obviously, it could be a little cub, which could be as small as that. But a cheetah's track, those toes are way further forward, and you've got a lot of dead space between that back proximal pad and the toes. And then those toes on a cheetah track would be sitting about here, and the back pad would be extended out over there somewhere. And if it was a little cub cheetah track, we would also expect to see mommy's tracks with it. So that one, not a cheetah track, that of a civet. Nice and round and very symmetrical. As I say, the only one that is probably more symmetrical, or as symmetrical and perfect, that being that of a leopard. Now, there's another one just over here. It's a little bit of an older one, but it's just in the box. And the reason I'm putting it in a box and rather than a circle is because this track does give you the impression of it being quite square. And this is that of a warthog. So, you've had now 4 different tracks already, and we're going to continue on and still try and look for some more. Warthog, civet, dove track, and squirrel. I'm sure we're going to be able to maybe catch up with our Janet Jackson, and because we're heading down towards Treehouse Dam and Twin Dams as well, so we'll have a look. Maybe there's a leopard there, who knows. Speaking of the leopard, let's go back to those that we have.
It could be good to see a genet cat. We haven't seen one. The last one we saw was at the Buffelshoek waterhole, and it was dead. We don't know what killed it. But now I got cats here that are alive, happy, and very playful, and re-establishing their bonds, and see what kind of love we have here of a mother and a baby. Tandy with her daughter, Klalamba, just reaffirming their bonding and Both of them are very happy now, having fed on that meal. And you can see the cub is more playful than the mother. Of course, they'll be licking each other after all the meat they've been eating. The mothers have always been known to lick their cubs, all that. And one, it would help to, kind of protect the smell of, any kill going out there in the air, or kind of mask it. Hyenas don't pick it very quickly. Certain Rainbow, you say this is so sweet to watch. I mean, it could not be better. Just look at that. I mean, I'm just watching myself and I'm just getting mesmerized, and, I'm getting lost. My thoughts are just stuck there and I'm just glued watching that. I mean, to all of you viewers, maybe I would ask you, maybe you tweet in one word, what do you think of this sighting that we have here of mother and cub? In one word, hashtag Safari Live. Why don't you tell us what you think? Just tell me in one word. Personally, I think this is so epic to watch. Let's hear, what you'll all say, all of you nice viewers, of this relationship of a mother and a cub. Ladybird, you say special, yes, and I'll also say double special. Look, the mother is just still, and the cub is like, Mom, I'm going to lick you all that bloody on your fur. We're going to mask this, that it is not picked by the hyenas or other predators. But also, Mom, I want to give you a bit of massage. I also want to clean you, lick all that blood. And I also want to remind you, you're my good mother. You did a very good job to bring that antelope down. Well done, Kalamba. Larry, you say you're jealous, and Senzo is laughing to hear you saying you're jealous. I know you're jealous, and the best thing when you can is just come to a safari, come and join us here one of the days, and, come and enjoy this. We have a beautiful lodge called Vuatella and another one called Galago. You come stay, and you'll have a chance to see such wonderful and special sighting. And I know why you're jealous. If you are here, maybe it could be different. Joe, you say that heartwarming. How nice of you to say that. Yes, it's so special. Heartwarming. Now look, it's the turn now for the mother. Heartwarming, very sweet words. Jealous, special, heartwarming. Please keep sending us tweets. Just one word or two words. Maybe now I'll allow you two words because maybe one word could be a bit difficult. Two words would be okay. Just to describe this kind of sighting which initially I said it's epic. Hashtag Safari Live. How wonderful. And Kalamba is like, Mom, you have to stop now. The mother cannot stop, and the mother is saying, I know better. I need to lick. James, you say magical, super great, super great. I agree with you. It is truly magical, James. It's truly magical. Skralamba is trying to get hold of the tail. Yeah, James, wonderful. I agree with you. It's truly magical. If I would have my friend here called Sebastian, I'm sure he would say, this one is magnifique, eh? It's truly magnificent. Just watch that kind of special relationship. Actually, you're asking how long do leopards spend grooming? That's a very interesting question, and again it will always depend on the individual, depending how big the cub is, how small the cub is, and at what age. More of age than the size. And as the cub grows much older, they spend less time. But when they're young, they still have to keep reestablishing the bonds. They have to keep allo grooming just to emphasize their relationship. But as they get older, they tend to reduce the grooming. Hello, Claramba. Where did Mom go? Sorry? You've got friends in front of us there. But we're going to find out. She has gone. Let's find out if our signal will be a log.
Oh, sorry everybody about that. Those pesky gremlins. Oh my goodness, don't fly. No, come back, birdie, please. It was a fork-tailed drongo. Oh, my heart. I don't know why the animals don't like me, other than the elephants. Let's see if it's going to sit still. There it is. Just on my fallen tree. Oh, now it's hopping around and hiding behind branches. Come back here, fork-tailed drongo. Or catch us a moth or a butterfly and then come and eat it on your perch. Pretty please. One of the most awesome birds out there. I never thought that a fork-tailed drongo could hide behind such a small branch, but it seems to be doing a fairly good job. There have been lots and lots of birds out, just unfortunately not wanting to sit still. Like that one. Bye-bye. Bon voyage. See you next time. No one wants to sit and chat today. Oh, look at this stick. I suppose I better move it out of the road. But yeah.
You can hide like that longer.
I bet I'm invisible. Not doing a very good job. It's because I'm not wearing black, that's why. Anyways, so here is a stick from a bush willow tree, and we obviously, for those of you that have been watching for a long time or have done many safaris, we know, and we've been chatting about how the elephants start to eat, the woodier plant species in the winter months. This is exactly what's happened, as an elephant has just popped it in its mouth and sort of done a twisting motion, almost like corkscrewing it, twisting it like this in between its molars, and then loosening the bark and then stripped it all off. And you can see it's quite a hearty layer of bark. I mean, that's not a thin, delicate little piece. I've had a good chomp on this, but it's quite old. And the reason why I know it's quite old is if it was quite fresh, I'd actually still feel the saliva on this part. And then, of course, the leaves wouldn't be so crinkly, would they? Bye-bye. Throw that off the road before it gets stuck under the car. They like to get stuck under the car, those branches. Right, let's carry on. Maybe we should change our birding challenge tail. Not that we've had one, but maybe we can set ourselves a little challenge. How many birds can we get flying away from us today? Rather than, doing the normal and actually trying to see them, we get them just sort of the tail end as they've taken off or dashed off in a tree. What do you think of that? Wouldn't that be quite fun? No. Another one, elephants. Okay, now I'm going to do the lazy. I don't know if I'm going to get out for this one. No, that's not going to work. Don't do the lazy version. This was much heavier than I thought. Thought I could throw it with one hand. It was an absolute fail. Absolute fail. So sorry, Luke. Please can I have that all again? I haven't been down here for a while. A bit of maintenance, some cleanup as we go. Yes, Bridget. Elephants, I don't think elephants are fussy. They eat pretty much all the things that are vegetarian, all the plant matter. But their diet changes, from season to season, and also from area to area. So in the Maasai Mara, we saw the elephants eating lots and lots of grass there. Obviously, huge open plains as far as the eye can see, whereas here, the vegetation is slightly different. So in summer, they like to eat lots of grass, and then in winter, when there's no rain, they've got to change their diet slightly, and then they start to eat a lot more leaves. They start to dig up roots and strip the trees of their bark. And then, of course, whenever there's fruit available all through the year, they'll feed on the fruit too. So it kind of just depends. But, for instance, the elephants here in the greater Kruger area love marulas. Marulas are their favorite. So anywhere between about February, March, April, you start to see marulas, and they're getting ripe. So I'm happy to say that that's the favorite time of the elephants here in this area, is just to gobble up those marulas. It's also one of my favorite times of the year because the weather's nice and warm. There's not really any wind. It's actually a little bit too warm at times, but we get to eat marulas. So, can't have it good going all the time. So they eat, but they eat so many different things. They love round leaf teak as well. It's a type of tree. Now, Martini, elephants have a earthy smell to them, so when they're quite close by, I suppose it also depends on have they had a mud bath, because if they've had a mud bath, that will change the scent of them. Then they sort of it's quite a pungent, also earthy odor, but sort of, you know, if you get algae that builds up in a pond, you know, that sort of smell, they can sometimes smell like that. There was a snake that went around here. Yeah, I don't know what it was though. I just saw a track going across the road, then I drove over it as I saw it. So like today when those elephants were so close to us, they didn't really smell like much at all. I actually didn't pick up a scent. You often pick up a scent, obviously, when a herd of elephants have moved through an area. Once they've defecated and urinated, you pick up on the scent of dung, which is kind of unmistakable. So yeah, otherwise, I don't know, maybe it's just because I'm so used to it. There's definitely a different smell about them, but it's very earthy. It's not a bad smell. I quite like it. I like all the things about elephants, though. I don't think there's one thing that I don't like. And there are some elephant tracks going down the road, on top of some of the tire tracks from this morning, so we might see a few more. Maybe this is the direction that the herd we saw ended up going in, because they just could have done a loop and come back this way. So we'll see if we can follow the tracks. Please don't go to the west, because we're quite close to the boundary, and then that means they would have crossed out. Maybe they have too, because there's a big dam on Arathusa that's not too far away called Red Dam. They could have gone over there, and that is in that direction. Let's hope not. Okay, we're going to keep searching for some animals. Let's go to Bushwalk and see what Ralph is digging through now.
Well, just having a closer look at some of the little trees around here, and this is very interesting to look at indeed, because look at all those tiny little leaflets on there. Now, it's interesting to note that from the base where my pinky is over there, all the way around the outside, back to the base once again, that is one leaf, not one of those tiny little ones there. So this is a compound leaf, and because each time we have a branch and then it branches again, we say that this is bipinnately compound. So it's a bipinnately compound tree. And also, these are thorns, not spines, because leaves, thorns are sort of modified leaves, and spines are modified branches. Now, this is growing next to an axillary bud, which is just on the inside there, and a spine would be growing from an axillary bud. So when we talk of a sickle bush versus an acacia or the Senegalia or the Vachilias, then we are talking about thorns, whereas if we talk about the sickle bush, we would be talking about spines. So that's quite a difference that we do see. It's getting a little bit technical in between these two types of very thorny looking trees. And this one in particular here, this is looking like a Senegalia or Vachilia. I always get confused now with this new classification, but the old Acacia Robusta. This is obviously, these little leaflets do get eaten quite a lot by giraffe, and they very much prefer these. They're very, very nutritious, and it's a very nice tree for a lot of animals. And Patrick, you say it's a serious thorn. Absolutely, Patrick. They are also very good substitutes for toothpicks when you're out here in the bush, or any kind of pin. And I even know some crazy rangers that used to show me how they would use this to stitch themselves if they had a very big gash in their arm. They would take thinner ones like these over here and literally press it through if they had a big gash in their hand. But those guys are a little bit crazy and not scared of doing things like that. I would use something more like a big termite, because if you see those little termites with their heads, if you can get him to bite on you, you can literally pull his body off, and the head will remain with the pincers clamped down tight onto the area that you're trying to close. So you could literally use a few different termites, and they'll pincer closed on a nice wound. So lots of uses, and the animals also like feeding on it. So it's a very nice, useful tree. Right, once again, how could we not? Let's go back to Thandi and Tlalamba.
Yes, thorns sometimes are good, and leopards will always avoid thorns. And look what Thandi decided to do. After feeding, and she's now full, she decided to climb that tree and have a nap. How beautiful is this? How wonderful. It could not get any better. I'm not sure whether I'm going to call this a money shot or what I'm going to call it. But it's very characteristic of leopards. And it's in general, when they are well fed and they are happy and doing fine, they tend to go in such open, such open places, not concerned of any danger. And if you look at the eyes there, she's definitely having a nap. And I'm trying to imagine that log is still a bit warm, and you've got some bubblers in the background that are kind of trying to wake her up and disturbing her. In general, bubblers are always very chatty birds. Fantastic. I agree with all of you. This sighting is just amazing. And, I'm sure you're taking so many screenshots for us. And just how to see them together with Tlalamba earlier. And I think the daughter is just laying somewhere down there. She doesn't want to come up. And I'm looking at the angle. It looks a bit tricky. Shami Jane, you say, yes, this is the money shot, 100%. I mean, thank you for agreeing with me. Truly, this is a money shot. And maybe she had you, and she's saying, yes, money shot, tail up. How sweet of that. How sweet of her. I think she just answered you, true? Yes, money shot. Senzo, do you agree? Senzo, yes, saying his huge money shot in money bags. Just to have this beautiful girl laying down there. And as I was saying, I think the log could be a bit warm, and I'm sure she's picking a bit of warmth from that log. The big AT is still holding warmth from the sun of the day. Her eyes are a bit open now, looking what could be happening on the ground. And I'm sure there's some francolins that are just moving there. And I would be more than happy if I would see Tlalamba come up. Before she came up, Tlalamba wanted to have a bit of play. Michelle, that is the sweetest thing I've had today, that you're going to make this your screensaver. Wonderful, Michelle. I mean, that we might even do that in our final control, have our computers. Look at it, the tail up, as screensavers for all of us. I may also do the same on my computer. I mean, it couldn't be a better portrait. If we see Tlalamba coming up, this is what we would call a family shot, and a photograph actually to frame and to see and enjoy for many years. And I'm just looking at that log, trying to imagine maybe it could be a bit tricky for Tlalamba to go up, and maybe her clothes might not be good enough to dig in and get some good grasp. Ah, right. Senzo was here, and I think they saw the two together, and he's telling me Tlalamba went all the way up. That is interesting. So it must be the same log there were yesterday. And what is interesting, we drove here in the morning and we did not see them. And that's the beauty of our drive. One time the animal is here, the next time it's not there. You go, you miss it, and someone drives behind you and spots the animal. Excuse me there, she just turns, like how we would turn in our beds. Truly, it couldn't be wonderful than this. Some of the leopards that you see in high elevation areas do not have the chance to sleep on logs like this, because they're in forests, they're in thickets. And if you look at them, their spots are very different. They'll always go in very open areas if they'll need to have a nap, because it's always rather chilly. But for leopards like where we are, for example, Thandi, it's easy for them to climb such logs and just enjoy the view and have a nap. very characteristic of leopards. And this to me is always showing a good sign of good health in every shape or form you may look a leopard at. Gemma, you're asking at what age Tandy will take Kalamba on a hunt. That's a very good question, Gemma, and I hope you're well. And I have no idea, but I think even at her age now, she is able to catch small things for herself. I'm talking of scrub hares, francolins, here and there, or some young fawns of, say, impalas. I'm thinking she can be able comfortably to do that. A bit of mice, terrapins. The other day I saw Kalamba next or very close to the Buffers Walk waterhole, and I'm not sure she was looking at terrapins or what she was looking at, but after about a year or so she might be able to tag along with Tandy and look, this is how I do, only that sometimes the cubs will always spoil the hunt. But I think a year and a half she should be able to watch and see the mother hunt, and hopefully when she gets to two and a half, she'll be good to be an independent girl. Hello, Tandy. How are you doing? Aren't you a beautiful girl? And truly, this is the Queen of Joma. And you can see the clothes are not as maybe clean as the other parts of the body because of the pads, what she has been digging and eating. I guess it was a daika they were feeding on. And earlier I was talking of how leopards would come in my village where I come from, and they would come at night. We would make very tight fences, but still leopards are very sleuth, and some of the areas they go through, if you're told a leopard went through here, you cannot believe it. And they would enter in the pens where we would keep the sheep and the goats, and they kill 20 or 40 of them together in one night, and would wake up the following day and see 20, 40 of them dead, and what we'd see were tracks of a leopard. But the unfortunate thing is they would maybe only eat one, maybe about 2 or 3 kilos, and the other ones will just kill them, And Senzo is just laughing. I'm sure Senzo, where he comes from, he hasn't seen villages. Maybe I think Senzo is a city slicker, doesn't completely understand what I'm talking about. But our biggest frustration is, what would you do with 40 goats if they're killed in one morning and you wake up and see 40 goats? However big the family is, you could not finish them. And what we used to do is to slaughter them, of course. We knew what had killed them was a leopard, and assuming it did not have any infection, and would eat as much meat as possible, and then the rest would smoke the meat in the kitchen. We would make fire, using logs, and put it above the fire and just smoke it, and that will make it like biltons, and it would keep it fresh for days to come. But honestly, 40 goats, it's not easy. So what we would do, that we would call all the neighbors, and as much as they would come and eat, we were all crying in our hearts, When you lose 40 goats, it's not easy. Why are you putting your tail up there, Tandy? Well, it could be a message. There could be a vehicle moving not very far from where Tandy is. You can hear it moving. They're just friends of ours enjoying Tandy at that point. And the tracking team, how are you doing?
Well, I'm also in a state of leisure, but just here in one of the little pans that during summer would have water in it. And you can see now, at this time of year, we're finding all of these pans that usually have a bit of water in them, and at some stage they are quite full as well. Now they are completely dry. And as you can see, it's actually bone dry. So what happens at this time of year then, the animals aren't as dispersed as they may have been during the summer rainy months. They've actually all concentrated a little bit more around where the water points are, or they concentrate at certain times around those water points, because obviously the water is concentrated, and the water-dependent animals like baboons, monkeys, warthogs, buffalo, waterbuck, hippos, etc., obviously aren't going to be hanging around all around in the bush like they would normally or would be able to because of this readily available water, and right now lack thereof. So they are really having to change their habits, and that then also means that we can expect to find them at particular spots like the Galago Pan as well as Chela Pan, and those are a little bit in the central parts of the Djuma Traverse, and right now where Taylor has been, also at Chitwa Dam. So we'd expect the leopards, the lions, and those animals that need to drink daily, as well as the elephants, to be moving around those particular spots on a daily basis. So you could also center your movements around that. But it also does then lead us towards the conservation management of these particular areas, because you've got to think that we've got a bigger enclosure around the bigger parts of the Kruger National Park. And so on these private properties, as well as in the greater Kruger National Park, they also need to bring a little bit of water up from below the ground so that the animals do have access to water. But there is also a very big consideration that needs to be taken into mind, because as soon as you bring water onto the surface and make it available for animals, it does have a very big impact on the vegetation surrounding that. So what we always learnt in our conservation training was that you want to try and manipulate the animals into the areas where they would normally not utilize. And so through that manipulation, you can fill up water holes in areas that are underutilized in terms of the veld. And so drawing those animals there, they become like lawn mowers or utilizing the bush, and also opening up a bit of the bush encroachers like your mopanis and your red bush willows, etc., as well as moving along the succession of the sort of primary grasses that start to come through. And so you can actually then manipulate that entire ecology in a positive way, as opposed to leaving animals to drink in a overutilized area. It would definitely make it a bit worse. So you can use that to your advantage. Now, Chris, pumping water up to the surface is generally not expensive. You can, in some instances, use a windmill, which is very inexpensive, or they generally use a little bit of a water pump or a borehole with a water pump on it, and so that's the way that they would be drawing the water up. Look, you don't need to be pumping water out at a stream like you would be having in the shower. It can literally just be a little trickle. It's just bringing it up and obviously utilizing these dry pans that already have clay in the bottom of it, which does form sort of a barrier for the water, and it does then sit nicely. And so that's where you would have then a nice little pan forming, and the animals would come and utilize that, especially in this time of year in winter. So very important as conservation management to know these different water points that you can draw animals to different areas, and you do need to make it available for them, because we've got a fence around the Kruger National Park and we've enclosed these animals. They can't go on their traditional migratory routes or patterns anymore, and so we do need to manage it from the inside a little bit better. And as I say, through manipulation of the animals, drawing them into those underutilized area and actually turning over that succession and assisting in the veld management through bringing the animals there. So it's actually very interesting as well, and a subject that we could delve into a little bit further through Twitter and so on. So send your comments and your questions around conservation management and waterhole manipulation, etc. All right, enough about management. Let's go back to the Queen.
Yes, and please send me comments. Send us comments on what you think of this beautiful positioning or beautiful sighting. Again, I allowed you now to move from 1 word to 2 words of this great sighting of Tandy. And just a few seconds ago, I overheard her calling Lalamba. You see the direction she is looking at? That's where the daughter is. And she was, oh, oh, oh. And I think she's trying to call the daughter to come up and join her, and then they can, again, either groom And how nice, I could see them playing up there, but I think that's quite a tricky position for them to play. It's very easy to slide and just, boom, fall down there. But I think Columba doesn't want to come up. And when you look, earlier I was talking of hearing some firing, and I told you the firing was about some friends of ours, some guests who have huge cameras, like 1,000 millimeters. You can see them there. So any flash you're seeing on your screens there, that's what they're using. So sorry about that. We dearly apologize for that. It's because those viewers there, I think they're photographers, and photographers have a passion with having these very huge zooms, heavy cameras, and any flash you see on the screen there is coming from the cameras. So we profusely apologize for that. The good thing is the flashes don't affect the leopard very much. You see, she just faced away and she doesn't look very worried. Vic, you're right. The paparazzis are here, and I can tell you, well, the largest, some of the cameras I have known about 500 or 800 millimeters, and I was just joking, saying maybe these cameras, these photographers got about 1,000 millimeters. They're huge lenses, and true, they're paparazzis. But ideally, this is a shot that most photographs would want to have. You guys are so lucky, and Senzo is just making it possible for you to enjoy from your, from your coaches, from your seat, from your living rooms, just to enjoy this. And well done, Senzo. Earlier we were talking of how one could do this and do a painting on it and just play a bit with colors, and Senzo thought he might say, oh, the cab is coming up, let's just watch. I've seen from a distance the cab coming up. There, Kulalamba slowly and surely. I'm not sure she wants to sneak on Mom, or Mom could be pretending she knows the daughter is coming. Okay, let's find out. She might go up and maybe using her close touch on the tail. She's such a playful girl. Slowly going up. Okay, what do you want to do as you go up there? She looks on the ground to see all is good, and that's the direction they left the kill. I don't know whether they finished or not. We did not go very close to avoid disturbing them. Look from the final control says that it was exactly his behavior when he would sneak in the kitchen when the mother was not looking. Well, Luke, you could have been related to this cub in a different life, That's very funny of you, Luke. And that's exactly what Luke could do, and sneaking quietly in the kitchen. You have a commonality here. Both of you are young. And she slowly comes, passes. She also would want to show the mother, I can climb, I can walk, maybe do better than you. Hi, Mom. You see, I'm equally good. I can climb. I got some good balance. My agility is good too. Get a position for myself, maybe to bed. Turns around, playtime. The mother's like, no, just too full. Not now, maybe later. And you can tell if the mother did all the running and stalking of the kill they had earlier in the heat of the day, and now being so full, there's that tendency of just feeling you want to slow down, enjoy a nap, and let the digestion take on. But being, so teenage, so young, she's full of energy, just like young children. Maybe just like Luke. Jackson, at your age, that's a very good question, and you're asking, would the animal paws get hot if they walk or if the ground is very hot, just like the dogs in the city? And yes, especially where we are, we have a lot of sun around, and when it's too hot, ideally the sun gets very hot. And if leopards could be walking, or the cats would be walking on the sand, their paws, because they are open and they're bare, rather, they're not covered by fur, they would get pretty hot. And what cats would do, for example, leopards or lions, they'll walk in the grass away from, bare areas that are not covered. Yes, Jackson, they would get hot and they'll avoid walking in open areas that would be warm, because definitely their paws would get hot and not very comfortable for them. See how playful that curve is, eh? And the mother just allowing her the tail. Just like typical cats back home. And what a relationship they got together, eh? I don't know what my guides will think, but I would say Tandy looks to be a wonderful mother, eh? She is tired, definitely, from maybe all the hunting and all the eating and all the heat of the day, but still, she got a bit of time and to allow the cub Kalamba to play with her. And you can see Kalamba's tail down there, and you see they're a little bit different. This color. Yes, she's living up to the name Rainbow, definitely, and hopefully I'm looking at Kalamba in the next 1 year, giving the mother, a big run for her money as who will be in charge of this area when it comes to the girls. So I was looking carefully at their tails and notice the mother's patterns are conspicuous black and conspicuous white. And if you move back to the tail of Kalamba there, Senzo, you realize it's not as bright black, as bright white. And of course, that's all about age. And as she grows up, we'll always see them getting brighter. Just like with the zebras, you see when they're young, they're a little brownish, little darkish, little blackish, not as bright as the fully grown ones. And I think it will be the same case here with these tails of these two leopards. Malaika, that's very sweet of you. You're saying I'm such a great narrator of these two. I hope I'll be able to continue doing that. But that's very sweet of you. Thank you so very much. That's a great comment and very kind words from you. Many thanks. You couldn't ask for a better mother than this one here. So when the cab slows down, she'll keep flicking her tail like, "Hi girl, how you doing back there?" And I think it's time for her now to have a bit of rest. But the mother's trying to show, well, we can continue playing. This is quite exciting, and I can tell you I'm not going anywhere. And Taylor, let us know, what are you doing now and where are you?
David, I'm so glad that you are enjoying that sighting. I'm trying to not strangle myself with my scarf, which I'm apparently achieving. Sorry, we're almost done with the bumps. We're almost back at Chitwa. We've basically done the western boundary and then sort of the southern boundary too. No new news. No news, no tracks, no anything, nothing. Quiet. I didn't even see another car. This is the first car I've seen. We're going to drive past them though. We'll just sneak on by. Off they go. We're on Gallery Main. It's a public road, so not anybody can drive here, but if you're driving within the reserve, you're typically going up and down here. Kerry, ooh, I've got so many favorite spots all over here. I suppose each property though we can traverse on, I've got a different favorite spot. I think in Djuma it has to be Nyala Road North and South are my two favorite places to drive. And then on Chitwa, the dam is pretty amazing, but that area behind the dam wall is beautiful. And then also the open plain next to the airstrip, the Chitwa airstrip with all the big marula trees. If you get there, it's really pretty actually in summer when the grass is nice and tall. And then you get the elephants coming to feed on all the grassy sections there. That's really nice. Afternoon with the sun setting, beautiful golden light. Unbelievable there. And then on Torchwood, I like the rocky areas, but I think my absolute favorite has to be sort of at Leadwood Dam at Torchwood so far. Although I haven't really explored much heading to the far sort of eastern sections of Torchwood, so still got them. Oh yes, I said I wanted to listen. We're going to listen for like 2 seconds to see if we can hear Tingana. deathly quiet. If Tingana's going to soar, we're definitely going to hear him. Nope. Okay. Nothing yet. We'll keep doing this though, because this seems to be the time that he likes to start calling. So we're back on Chitwa now. We're going to do a few little bumbles around here. I should probably change radio channels now. Let's go to channel 2. Doop. See what they have to say. Okay. We're going to go down Shirombe Rombe and then do a little sneaky drive around the dam from the east to the west. Let's go to Rolf, because I think it's about time that he's going to have to start heading home.
Well, everyone will be heading home quite soon, but not before we just enjoy this beautiful afternoon. It's gone very still at the moment. Still some clouds around, but not a breath of wind. And these winter days in the afternoons as well as in the mornings, they're absolutely stunning. So it's all about the landscape at the moment and enjoying what's around us, because there's not too many animals actually. Now, Ashley, you're asking about manipulating water holes and so on, and if it sort of does increase diseases and that. Well, in winter, quite naturally, sorry, Craig, he's losing his balance there. In winter, you can quite often have an increase in disease anyway, because you've got less water around, so it's very concentrated in the water itself. And something like anthrax is actually quite increased, because anthrax gets, sort of deposited on the banks of little water holes. So something like that, yes, can be increased. But that's actually in drying up water holes, not increasing the water. So it's not particularly a bad thing to do. As I say, the most part, what you're doing there is actually just drawing animals to areas that have been underutilized, and obviously making water available for them. So it's not only grazing that you need to think about, and over or underutilizing the veld per se, but it's also the trampling effect as well as bush clearing that elephants would do, as well as walking. They really solidify a lot of the ground around water holes. So it's not always just as simple as saying, oh, there's a nice place to put some water, let's go for it. A lot of thought needs to go into whether or not it's a good idea. Has it been overutilized? Has it been underutilized? What veld is in the area? How much trampling is going on? So there's lots of questions you do need to ask yourself before you go on with those. Now, Paula, for water to be evaporated in natural circumstances, it all depends on how deep the water hole is. If you have these very flat, shallow pans, obviously that can be evaporated relatively quickly, but the deeper a water hole is, the longer it takes to evaporate. And it also depends on how much sun and heat you've got onto that water. Now remember, it's also a cooling process, and that's one of the reasons why humans and some animals, not too many of them, but some animals sweat, so that does help in cooling us down. That's besides the point. So it all depends, as I say, relative to the depth of those water holes, how quickly they do evaporate. But you've seen a lot of the water holes, or just little pans and ponds around Djuma, have all dried up at the moment. But twin dams, as well as Treehouse Dam, they're still maintaining, but that's because they're rather large and they have, holding quite a bit of water. They both have dried, relatively speaking, but they still do have water in them. But then we've got the places, like I say, Galago Pan, which is artificially filled. So that just continues on there with a little bit of water in there anyway. Now, Paula, the roads, if you've got a big tract of land and you obviously want to be putting a road in, that's also quite important to, do it on a well-researched and well-thought-out level. Very often, the first roads would have been laid out actually by big animals like elephants. The elephants make these big paths, and they normally would also have taken the path of least resistance. And so a lot of highways around the world, well, well, around Africa anyway, like Kenya and in South Africa, would have first been animal parts and animal highways back in the day, you know, even centuries old. And same thing here in the national parks and in the, you know, protected areas. But there's certain areas you do not want to be putting a road, like a sodic site. A sodic site is where you've got a little bit of a... Oh, sorry guys, let's go off to Tundi. Very exciting.
Well, what we can see now is something. You can see Tundi has changed direction, and now she is looking towards her kill. And if you look carefully down there, you see there's some new arrival. There's a hyena. And that's why Tundi was looking so nervously. You see how she's looking? And we could tell she was not comfortable with something. And a spotted hyena has just arrived like 2 minutes ago or 3 minutes ago. She's looking at it, and the cub, she also called the cub, and the cub came very close to the base of the tree. And I think the hyena, what they'll do now, is going to finish all what they had left behind. I doubt there was much left from the behavior of that hyena. I doubt there was anything left there. If anything, maybe just the skull or some hoofs. And I think that's Kalamba down there, and most likely she may have to climb up the tree. See how close they are with the hyena, eh? And should the hyena come close to Kalamba, definitely she'll climb up the tree, the dead tree, as soon as possible. She can't take any chances. And I'm not sure the hyena is very happy for having not gotten anything, but I think the skull must be somewhere there. Either they hid it, and she's trying to scrap of what might have been left by these two girls. And let's find out what she'll do. And Tundi doesn't look very worried. Yes, I agree with all of you. Kalamba is safe. We saw her like a month ago when a hyena also popped up or bumped into them on their kill. And she jumped on top of a tree like 3 meters high, and she was very safe, and she joined the mother. It was kind of a reflex. So from where the mother is, Kalamba is just at the very base of that dead. If you look carefully there, you can see her spots and her tail. And she's looking at the hyena. But she knows it's a blink of an eye for her to turn around and get up where the mother is. And that hyena, chances are, will never reach there. Paula, that's a great question. Would a hyena attack Kalamba if she got a chance? Yes. They have been known to kill leopards, they have been known to kill lions, they have been known to kill cheetahs. So if this hyena, maybe out of frustration, she doesn't get enough to eat from where she is now, and she gets a little quick chance, I can tell you, Paula, yes, she'll get Kalamba. She's just a tiny little baby. She'll definitely go for her. Given a chance, a hyena will do that. But I can tell you, Kalamba, from what I've been watching, she is a very swift girl. And as I said, you're going to take a split of a second for her to turn, and maybe 2 seconds, she'll be with the mother up there, Tundi. So the hyena just scuffling what might have been left earlier. And I got a feeling Tundi and the daughter had eaten enough. Malaika, how many meters Kalamba from the hyena? Let me have a quick look. There's the jackberry tree there. I would give about 10 meters, Malaika. I would give or take, is they about 10 meters apart. About 10 meters apart. On that, really good work Senzo is doing. It looks pretty close on camera, but it's a good 10 meters apart. And Kalamba knows that's a safe distance for safety, if need be. And of course, the mother, Tundi, knows the same. If anything, she would have nagged her to come up the log where she is. So 10 meters, I think, is good distance for cover. And the hyena is just trying to clean what was left behind by these two girls. Paul, you're asking, are hyenas good tree climbers, I would say not really, not really. They struggle even to do 1 meter on top of a tree. I don't remember, Senzo is laughing, I don't remember in my life seeing a hyena on top of a tree. Some 3 weeks ago, we had, I think it was Hukumuri, with a kill of some big ram on top of a tree. And the hyenas were cackling and trying to go up on that log, a similar one to this one. But they couldn't make it, and they could do just 2 feet on top, and then just, comes compelling down. Hyenas are not good tree climbers, and this one here is not lucky either. Anything left is what you're going to eat, Mr. Hyena or Miss Hyena, and then that will be it. Excuse me there. And this one is a spotted hyena. We got 3 different types of hyenas in Africa: the spotted hyena, the striped hyena, and the brown hyena. This particular one is the spotted, and they're the most common ones around this area. And they got very sharp sense of smell. I do not know at what point it picked the smell of this one. Sometimes they've been known to use vultures on top of trees. Minamu, you're asking how often would a leopard lose their kill to hyena? It's quite often, Minamu. Just the other day, we saw Hukumuri being attacked. I think there were like a pack of 10 hyenas. And what Hukumuri did, he climbed up a dead log of tree, with his ram of impala, and, he kept eating, but these hyenas kept, culling and trying to climb the tree and calling and trying to shake that log. And at one point, Hukumuri was like, you can have it. But luckily, in this particular case, I think Tandi and Kalamba had eaten it. Any one time, they pick the smell, and unfortunately, if it's on the ground, the hyenas come, that leopard will lose that kill. And the same case would happen to cheetahs. But luckily here, Tandi and Kalamba had eaten enough, so all looks good. So it's always a 50-50 thing, but sometimes leopards are always lucky to eat Minamu, their kill through without interference of the hyenas. This is one good example. From when we got here, from the behavior of the hyena, I don't think the hyena is very impressed with what she has found down there. Not much left. And sometimes when they get a lot left, they'll always go calling, ooh, ooh, for the others to come and join the party. But from her behavior, I don't think there's anything. Maybe just the hooves, a bit of skin, and just the skull. And she's like, this is going to all be my kill. I'm going to eat it, and that's it. Very rarely you'll see hyenas come into a fresh kill when a leopard has not eaten. And what they will do, I would say 9 out of 10 kills, and especially the males, they'll always drag the kill up straight, the tree, even before starting to eat it. But I think either Tandi and Kalamba were a bit hungry and they chose to eat from where they were, or they knew by the time, any other predator like hyenas or lions would pick the scent of the kill, they'll be done. But in general, from what I've found out, leopards very quickly after they make their kill, they'll always drag it up. But I've seen also this with Shidulu. Shidulu is another female leopardess that had a steinbok a month and a half ago. And she climbs on top of an amarula tree. She stayed there for a couple of minutes. She comes down after like a few minutes and she started eating the steinbok. And we did not know at what point she killed the steinbok, and not for what reason why she had not taken the steinbok up. I'm not sure this is something with the females and not the males, but anytime I've seen Tingana or Hukumuri with a kill, they'll always drag up their kill. The hyena is moving away now, Senzo, if you look. And I think she's not a very happy hyena. She's trying to move away, and I don't think there's anything left there. Katrina, good question. Will there be more hyenas close by? Not sure where this one came from, but sometimes it doesn't take long before we see them landing one after the other. There are times you just see one, and in about 5-10 minutes you see about 15 or a pack of 20 just landing. So at the moment we got one Katrina, but if the others would think wherever this one went there could be something, well, she's going close to the cub. And Kalamba is a clever girl, as I said earlier. She knows she needs to go to higher ground. And from where she is, she knows she is very safe. And as Paul was asking before, if she gets a chance, she'll go for the cub. And here in the wilderness, we always talk of one chance. One chance of mistake, you're in trouble, or one chance and you use it wisely, you're good to go. And I think Kalama is just fooling the hyena like, come on, come up. Senzo, do you agree? She's too playful. Try and come up here. Let's see how good you are, whether your clothes can bring you up here. So again, you apologize for the flashes. Those are the paparazzis. And they are also enjoying this sighting together with us. So you see the flashes coming on and off as they keep shooting. Look at the hyena, just trying to look at them. Like, why did you finish everything? What did you think I would come here for? So Tandy changes position, changes her posture a little bit, keeps an eye on this predator hyena. And I let the hyena think, this could be something else or some remnants left elsewhere. But I do not think, hyena, you're very lucky. These two girls made good of their meal. They did a good job. They had to finish all, maybe what they ate, and what was left was not of much substance. I don't know what could be happening at Cheetah Waterhole.
Normally one of two things, David. We're either looking at the hippos or the fish eagles or the crocodiles, so more than two things. I suppose there's lots of things that can happen here, but we are, at the moment, paying attention to the hippos because we have not heard the rasping calls of Tingana just yet. Everyone's starting to get vocal again. I always find it so interesting about hippos how most of their communication is actually done underwater, and I would love to hear what some of those sounds must sort of be. Which will be very, very cool to actually know what kind of sounds that they make. I'm assuming that probably grunts and things like that. Little hippo, what sounds do you make when you go under the water? And I don't know how old they are before they can start making those grunting sounds that we hear above the water. There's a train going on. A sleeping snake. I don't know if there's such a thing as a sleeping snake, but that's what these hippos have kind of resembled. And it's all the babies too. It's all the calves in the pod. It's like one calf is on babysitting duty. Look at them. They're all using one another as a raft. Wake up now, because it's getting to that moment where the sun is about to disappear. Most of it is gone already. It's already getting quite dark. How can you not think that that thing is so precious? They are funny-looking things. So let's keep our fingers crossed that the young hippos decide to enter onto the banks and start pushing and shoving one another around, because that's what we really came for this evening. Let's be honest. I came to see some little baby hippo bullying, if you will, because they do kind of bully one another. They push and shove, and if you're small and weak, well, then you're going to get pushed down. You're going to get picked on quite a bit. And they don't know any different. There's an adult going, settle down now. It does look like that female's maybe the babysitter this afternoon. Well, it looks like there's two adults there. There's definitely more than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I can see 8 little heads all over the show here. At least 8, if not even more. And they're always so curious of the adults. You should have seen earlier we got a glimpse of a big bull moving into the scene, into this area where all the youngsters are. And just like when a male lion enters into the scene, when the pride have been relaxing, how all the young cubs get up and they're just absolutely mesmerized. Well, the same thing happened with a big hippo bull. All the little ones ventured and just followed this bull around, but behind him, obviously keeping a safe distance, because I suppose he can be a bit of a grumpy grouch every now and then, but they were just following him. It was so funny to see. They were in awe of his presence. And I suppose all those young bulls are going, one day that'll be me. I'll be as big and strong. It's going to take them a few years, though. It'll take them quite a few years, as the boys only become sexually mature around 8 years old. Marcy? Yes, they are. They're my absolute favourite thing to watch at the dam, and especially at this time of the evening when they do start to get a little bit more active. That's the best part, in my opinion, of Cheetah Dam, is in the evenings. when they do all start waking up, and not the mosquitoes again. I remember the other day I was telling you I could hear a buzzing sound and I couldn't work out what it was. Well, we've got the mosquitoes back, but don't worry, I'm armed. I'm armed this evening, mosquitoes. You must try and come and steal my blood. Firstly, I've got the hippos here, and I've got some peaceful sleep. Paul, I can't say that I would imagine trampling to be a problem. You know what happens when hippos when they are startled and they're in the water and then they're in the shallows? They just go out to the sort of deep end. So yes, they might get bossed around and bounced about a little bit, but I don't think that they necessarily get trampled like, say, in a wildebeest stampede or something along those lines. That spritzing sound was me spritzing my legs with mosquito repellent because I do not want to be bitten. So maybe every now and then it can happen. I'm not saying that it doesn't happen. Maybe trampling in a crossing. How about that? When, for instance, at the Mara River, when you do have thousands of wildebeest crossing and zebra and all these different animals crossing at the same time, and a young hippo can't get out the way quick enough, yeah, that could definitely happen. But in terms of something like that happening out here, it's quite slim. It's quite slim indeed. But sometimes fatalities happen because of a dispute amongst two bulls. That can happen. Two male hippos can have a bit of a fight, and unfortunately if a youngster's in the way, they're not really going to stop what they're doing to worry about it. So I've heard of that happening too. So they've got to watch themselves out here. Oh, they're so sweet. Right, now it is officially getting too dark for Ralph to be out, but I'm sure he wants to say goodbye before he goes.
Okay, everyone, we're pretty close to camp, but we've just spotted an elephant here through the thickets. So just before we quickly duck back into camp, we're just going to see if we can get a view on this elephant through the thickets here. So Herbie looks like he's got a nice view from up front. We'll always go a little bit slowly, just until we've got a good view on them, and then we can speed up again. Looks like it's moved away from us a little bit, and yes, it is moving off. Thanks, Herbie. Good one. There it is out over there. So you might just get a fleeting view on it. And, well, you can see now with the sun having set and those clouds there off in the distance as well. I don't know if you can see it anymore, Craig. Don't think so. Looks like it's disappeared in the thickets. Well, elephant's not an animal that we're going to be following out on foot, because once they start disappearing like that, they can move pretty fast, and we can't keep up with them. And something else we can't keep up with is the sun that has just set there. So, Michelle, thanks very much. I'll also say goodbye. I'll be signing out for the evening. Myself, Craig, and Herbie, we're going to be heading back now towards camp, because, well, there's that elephant, just gives us a last little view, but he's disappeared off now. So, thanks very much, everyone, and I'm going to send you back to Rafiki Dave, who's with Thandi and Tlalamba.
Well, Rafiki Dave is still here, and as it gets dark, you don't want to take any chances at night. And I think you can hear the francolins calling and signing off for the night. And it's also a good thing for Raf also to sign off on the walk and try and head home. Let's very quickly go to Taylor.
Well, we've got the fish eagle. And the fish eagle's sitting up in the tree now. It flew past. It had something clutched in its feet. But I don't know what it was. It was really small. It could have been a scrap of something. I don't know, maybe the crocodiles had eaten something. Maybe some animal had only partially gobbled something down. You know, when you try and compete with the sound of hippos, it's really difficult. They win all the time. Right, everybody got that out of their system? Yeah? I think they do it on purpose. Anyways, I still don't know what this fish eagle had, but it was just a little morsel of something that it gobbled down. I can't say I saw a feather. I can't say that I saw scales either. That's why I don't know if it was from a carcass or something that it just managed to get a chunk of. Just a little snack before it's time to hit the hay. And then it's very pretty, of course, with the very moody sky behind it. And I'm sure that they just perch up on any old tree. There's plenty places for them to roost. Some with leaves on, some with these nice open spots. Yeah, very interesting. I mean, we know fish eagles have quite a varied diet, and slowly starting to learn more and more, start to watch them, that they really just eat anything and everything. Very much like the other predators out here, opportunistic. They take whatever they can get. But that's not the only bird that we've seen. Just another one that I want to point out. First, shall we start with the guinea fowl? We'll work our way around. We're going to see the guinea fowl in action in a minute. Here they come. The circus. Oh, they have to be one of my favorite birds to sit and watch. And we're very lucky at Chitwa, because they come and they roost in the trees nearby. I have to do my spritz again. Go away. Stop sitting on me. And then, once the guinea fowl make their way around, we've also got an African darter that's sitting up in the tree, just up into, there it is, in there. It's camouflaged at the moment because it's getting quite dark. That looks like where the darter is going to roost for the evening. Hello, pretty bird. You don't realize how many colors that they actually have on them. All that white and a bit of yellow. It's quite nice to see them so close. Not quite yellow, that's not the color. Mustard is the wrong color. It says, is rust? I don't know what color that is on its neck, but they're very pretty. It's a very nice sort of scene here. Lovely. Okie dokie. Well, it's been a lovely time spent here at Chitwa Dam, but I think we're going to move on now and give another search for Tingana. But David's been with leopards all afternoon.
Always good stuff. And to see a fish eagle eating fish, as the name implies, it's very special. But don't forget, it's not only the fish eagles that eat fish, even leopards eat fish. And also jaguars, which are related to leopards, also eat fish. And we truly apologize for all the paparazzis with the flashy cameras there. Sorry for the flash you're seeing. And the hyena might have disappeared. It did not get much to eat there, and I think she made her way from anything that she found there. She ate and she's gone. And you can tell that by how relaxed Tandy is. And out of respect, you can see we have gone to infrared to make sure we don't disturb her by all the flashes like going on there or with spotlights. And also we stayed quite a distance away from her kill just to allow them to enjoy their kill very nicely without any interference. And especially when they got a young one and they're feeding, it's always good to give them their space. Ellie, that's a very good question for your age at 7. And can leopards kill hyenas? It depends on the situation, Ellie. Say, for example, it's a fully grown male leopard with a young or small hyena. That leopard, would easily kill a hyena. But for small leopards, for example, Tandy here, with a fully grown female, because female hyenas are bigger in size than male hyenas, on 1-to-1, I think a hyena might win. They're much stronger, and they also got very strong jaws. So what we have seen early in the bush, if such a situation arises of a leopard and a hyena, in general, the leopards will always try and go away and come out of, the situation. The flashes might be going on and off. I'm not sure whether it could be time for us just to allow Tandy to enjoy this, because the flashes are increasing with the paparazzis. And it's just down there and not coming up, and that's where you see the vehicle movement there. Those are guests staying in a neighboring camp, and they're the ones I truly call paparazzis, with those big heavy cameras with about 1,000mm lenses. Senzo is saying maybe it's 2,000mm, not even 1,000. I don't know what he's talking about, but they must be very huge cameras and very strong flashes. Wonderful. I think all of you have really enjoyed this sighting. And I was just wondering, because of the flashes, we may move. Paula, you're asking if Kalamba is catching anything on her own yet. Not that we have documented, not anything we have seen, but I think at 9 months now, Paula, either small little birds like francolins, small little animals like scrub hares, I think Paula, she might be doing that. Nobody has seen it. Nobody has documented any kill from Kalamba. But my guess is, at her age, she might be able to do that. And no wonder a few days ago we saw her not very close to the mother, like she was on her own. Something tells me, at 9 months or so, she should be able to do that comfortably. But Paula, as I said earlier, none of the guides, of Safari Live have seen her catch something for herself. The only other interesting thing we saw, like 2 weeks ago, they had a kill together. They were sharing a kill with Tandy, and Kalamba snatched like about 30% of that kill, and she took off with it. And, I think the mother Tandy was just laughing, thinking, you naughty little girl, or, that's the only thing I can remember she did. But I got a feeling maybe sooner or later, if she hasn't started to get, pray for herself, she should be able to do it. Again, we truly apologize for the flashes there on the screen. She just turned and looking at us. Kalamba still put down there, not coming up. The hyena, I think, is way gone now. And Tandy tells, you can see she's quite comfortable without the hyena in the picture. Not much the hyena will do, and Tandy knows very well. The hyena could not climb the tree. And the one moment the hyena tried to come close to Kalamba, she quickly turned and went up. Fantastic sighting, and it was interesting to hear a fish eagle eating a fish, and I was talking of leopards also eating fish. Taylor, is another fish eagle eating something different?
I'm driving into a drainage line. I hope we don't lose signal. Sorry, we were halfway through it. I'm just going to quickly sneak past these guys on safari. Oh wait, I actually don't think there's anybody in the car. Make sure what these drongos are shouting at. Make sure we don't drive past the leopard quickly. Hello, thanks so much. Good. So yeah, we haven't really seen too much. Since we left the hippopotamus, we evaded the swarm of mosquitoes that are apparently immune to the stuff I was trying to spray on myself to keep the mosquitoes away. It's like they thrived on it, and they were getting stronger. So that didn't work, so we thought we better leave. And also the hippos were just a little bit too far away. That with the infrared light doesn't really work. They need to be right up close. So we thought, well, why not just do another little boundary patrol just to have a little look. So we're just checking this section here all the way back to Cheetah Cut Line. Then I think we might jump on Cheetah Cut Line and drive Mumba Road, because I didn't drive Mumba Road today, and I know it's a favorite road of Tingana. Maybe he decides to come back into Djuma on that way, but no rasping sounds into the night. It's been actually very quiet other than the chorus of hippos, and I suspect that the only other sounds we were really going to hear at Chitwa Dam were that of guinea fowl as they started sort of clucking away. And we'll just check nicely here. There's some great spots. Oi. Driving by, Bala. Okay, let's see. It's quite a warm night. Well, there's definitely a bit of a nip in the air, but it's warmer than most nights we've had. Maybe we're going to have a chance of a chameleon. Do you know what I didn't even tell you? We saw Byron today. Biceps Boots Soro. Hey, how nice was that? It was such a nice surprise. He bought one of his guests, who is also a viewer, Christine. She loved it. She was very excited to see us, meet us all, and that was very nice. So we got to see them. Haven't seen Byron for such a long time. I think the last time I saw him was in March, quite a while ago. So he's very happy. He's just been to see the gorillas in Rwanda. How exciting is that? That's definitely on my bucket list one day, although it's a very expensive outing to go on to. Let's see, Tingana. Where are you? I think if I go see the gorillas, I might try and go to Uganda, because I also want to see the shoebill storks. So need to go and have a look at the shoebills. Uganda is a very good place, apparently, to go and see them. So I might have to do that at some point. No, Brent and Jamie End of last year they went to Uganda and they said it was incredible. It was so amazing. Actually, Craig also went. Craig had a blast too. And Rebecca. Everybody went. Okay, come on, bush babies. Or maybe tonight will be the night that we see a porcupine. Talk video, you must be new. You've said this is such a cool channel. You love it. Welcome. Welcome, welcome. Yes, it is. It's quite nice. It's particularly good when we have animals to show you as well. That's when, wow. That's when it's really amazing. I'm just going through this quiet patch at the moment, so please don't mind me. I'm hoping in the next week or so, because it's been about a week that I haven't seen a cat in such a long time. I think the Nkuhuma Pride were the last cats that I got to see. Those were lions, and I don't even know when that was either. It's been a while. I've forgotten what they look like, what leopards and lions look like. No, it's not anything. What is this? Steenbok or a dake or something that was hiding in the grass. Got excited. I thought I'd seen a leopard, but nope, I hadn't. Okay, I'm going to keep searching because I have a feeling we're going to have to get lucky. My luck is going to have to change at some point. Perhaps it will be tonight, but David is having all the luck.
Very good luck, Taylor, and I'm sure you're always a lucky girl in life, so something will come up before we end the drive today. And Tandy just turned around and she's looking now towards us. Before she was looking the other way. And the good news, the paparazzis are gone. How interesting is that? How good is that? But there's only one paparazzi that's hanging around now, and that's the hyena. But the good thing with the paparazzi hyena, she doesn't have the cameras, she doesn't have the flashes. And you can see Tandy just looking down there, and she's looking at the direction of that hyena. I'm sure that hyena was a bit frustrated when she came up here and got very little left. And my guess is she's thinking maybe up where Tandy is, she could be holding a bit of kill, you know, some remaining part of whatever she had killed. But as far as I'm concerned, all the meal was squared and finished at the base of that jacoberry tree. So unless the hyena hangs around, we'll hear Tandy maybe calling Kalamba. Bella, you're asking, does the temperature have an effect on how leopards feed? I would say not really, not really. What will happen is, when they have eaten such a heavy meal and it's hot, you'd see them panting more when it's hot. But I think regardless of the temperature, if they'll need to eat, they'll still eat. And I'm sure, Bella, you might be seeing Kalamba trying to go up there. So the temperatures may not have much effect. The only thing is when it gets very cold, we might not see them being very active. But the temperature may not, whoop, there she jumps, may not have much an effect on the feeding of the leopards. Could be playtime now. Mother and cub. How nice. Ashley, you're very welcome, and you're saying thank you for all the information, and I'm happy you have been listening. I'm happy you have been enjoying the information, and please, anything else Ashley you'd want me to add on my information, please send it in. And anybody else, all of you nice viewers, hashtag Safari Live, because we really deep, work together. And it makes our drive, fun, and becomes more interactive when all of us are sharing our comments. You are giving us some questions. As again, these two are aloe grooming. How lovely for a mother and a daughter. How cool is that, eh? So this is mainly out of the killing. Normally they'll always do that, even on their own. But having had a meal, it's a very good thing. Or leopards will always try and clean themselves with their tongues, just again, as I was saying, to mask anything that might be left. But of course, there's a lot of bloody, on their fur, which they lick and of course definitely eat it. But you see, when the aloe groom is just around the face, around the mouth, where maybe their tongues may not be able to reach. And how cool is that, eh? And initially I had, made a decision to leave this beautiful leopards, but I just thought, let me stay now. Paula, fantastic question. If a leopard falls from a tree like where they are, will it land on its feet? Yes, I can tell you, leopards are very agile, and even from the air, they're very acrobatic. I've seen a leopard that slipped taking up its kill from up a tree, and it came like falling on the back, and it closed my eyes, and when I opened my eyes, it landed on the feet, and the next one second, it was going right up to where its kill is. So Paula, I would say, unless very accidentally, which I highly doubt, leopards are very agile cats, and chances are, 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10, they'll always land on their feet. The other day we saw, I think it was Tingana, who had a ram on some brown ivory tree, I guess, on some tree, and Alice came to eat the berries, and Tingana had to jump out of that tree, and it was about, 6 meters up, and he comfortably landed on his feet, and he walked away. So Paula, I would say, these particular ones, should they fall, including Klalamba, the small little girl there, she will land on her feet. And I'm sure they know the dangers of landing on their backs. They could easily break their spinal cords, or they could hurt their skulls. They would know the dangers of that. And I'm sure then the hyena would be down there, they would land the same way, and the hyena for a few seconds would be like, am I being attacked? What's happening here? Very good. Let's find out whether Taylor has seen any nocturnal animal at the moment.
It's just gone. There it is. Look on the edge of that stump. You can see the ears moving. There's a little bush baby. Obviously just living in this. I'm trying to find the peak of my beam. Sorry, of the spotlight. There we go. You can just see it moving around. If you look very carefully where there's a little split in the wood, you'll see it. It was brave enough and it was sitting out and in the open just seconds ago. There it goes. You can still see its little ears moving around. But it is a tiny little bush baby. There it is. Hello. And thank you for showing yourself. It must be living on the inside of this tree in that little spot over there, because that's very far up. And I can't think of any reason. I mean, it wouldn't just be up on such a high perch like that. They're not like leopards. They don't typically go out and, search for vantage points or kudu. I mean, they're mainly nocturnal. So I think it is just waking up. How are you going to get down from there? Because you're a good few meters up from the next tree. I suppose they're very good climbers. They've got very big hands with massive sort of digits on them. I don't know if any of you have ever seen a picture of what a bush baby's hands look like, but it's important that they do have these sort of large finger-like tips. It helps them with climbing, and it also helps them with grabbing food, so insects and things that are flying past them. Or if they try to leap from a branch, they've got amazing reflexes too, to just leap out and grab something. But I'd love to see what its next move is going to be, where it's going to go. I can only see the one, so I don't know if they're sort of nesting up in there. I don't know what they're doing. That's so cool though. So nice to see. I was hoping we were going to see something like a bush baby. It's been, well, I have seen them while we've been on drive, but just haven't put one on camera. Sometimes they're so quick. Most of the time they're so quick, they're so shy. And this one obviously feels quite happy all the way up top there. It's a pity it doesn't want to show itself anymore. Well there we go, Ravinder. Ask and you shall receive, although it seems to work with you because you were asking for bush babies. I've been asking for everything and I can't find them. Okay, well that was nice. I don't think I'll disturb it for too much longer because I was putting a spotlight on it. It's very far away, as you can see. That's how high it is. You can still see the eye shine. You see that? Look how far up that little creature is. See, I don't know if it's going to have to shimmy its way down the trunk of that tree and then leap into the little branch to the left of it. But it sure has got a long a long way to go. But that was quite a nice little find. We must remember that on Weaver's Nest, just after the junction that takes you back to Treehouse Dam in this tree, and see if we can find them every night. They don't change hidey holes too often. They do change them, but we'll check tomorrow night to see if it's still there. Shall we? Actually, no, it's a little bit further away. I'm just trying to get a good sort of landmark on where we are. And we're quite far away from that junction. I thought we were a lot closer. Okay. Very nice to see. Okay, what other little critters are we going to find out here tonight? Maybe not in this drainage line is a spot that I don't think we're going to find chameleons. That's for sure. It's a bit too chilly now. But we'll keep searching just in case. We're also getting to that dip now where we've seen where there's an active porcupine sort of burrow. A little bit off the road, but maybe it uses a pathway that leads it to the road, so we could see one of those. I'm just desperate to see some more nocturnal critters, more civets, more genets, more honey badgers, more aardvark, more everything. Give it to me. I would like all the animals. Right. Keep our fingers crossed that down in this dip we're going to find a porcupine.
Okay. Very good, Taylor, to spot a bush baby. I'm sure you might see more bush babies or scrub hares or night owls. And the mother and the daughter are still allo grooming, reestablishing their bonds. And you see how dark it looks a bit as much as we are on infrared. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to shine my spotlight not on them, but right below them, so that it doesn't affect their behavior or whatever they are doing, for us to have a better vision. So you see it gets a little bit brighter and helps Sensor do his job, but my spotlight, the beam, is just pointing way below from the log where they are. You can see where my big light is. It's right below where the two cats are, so that we don't affect their behavior. And this is the most respectful way to deal with cats, and by so doing you enjoy seeing them for many, many years. Otherwise, I've always taken myself as a visitor. Gemma, that's a very difficult question. Do leopards see at night? As humans, I think, Gemma, I would say they see better than us. That's what I would think. Because the Tandy has kept looking down there, looking at the hyena, and I would say me, without any help of any light now, I cannot. It's just so dark. I'm going to switch off my light now, Gemma, and see. And let's see without the light how dark it could be. You see? I cannot spot the hyena, but you see Tandy has been spotting it down there. She might be walking down slowly now, making her way down, joining Kalamba. So Gemma, yeah, I would say leopards would see better than us. Jumps. Kalamba remains on top. Is it time to go for a drink? It's time to go look for some place to bed. All right, they have just jumped down. We'll try and reposition and find out where they could be going without getting so close to them and without affecting their behavior. If they're going for a drink or the tickets, we'll just allow them and tell them good night. So let's reposition now and find out what's happening. And let's find out what Taylor, whether she's seeing more bush babies or bush adults.
We just had a genet. We just had one. It was so cool. It was about to climb this tree, or it was climbing out of the tree. It's now run back behind, though. Oh, that was so cool. I don't think we'll get another view of it. They're also one of the shy nocturnal critters. I don't know if it was a large or a small spotted genet. It all happened too quickly to have a look. But let me show you a picture for those of you that don't know what a genet is. I think there's one actually on the front of this book. Is there? No. There's nothing. There's a seal, yes. Oh, so easy to get the seal and a genet confused. Hang on, here's a genet. Here we go. That is a small spotted genet. And we typically see large spotted genets, but you can see both here. But that's basically the creature that we saw very, very briefly. How cool is that? Awesome. Maybe next time. Well, let's keep searching. Maybe we manage to find another one. You just check that it hasn't come back. That was amazing. Where are we on a roll? But like I said, these things, they happen so quickly. Like, half the time, unless you're live with us and then we happen to stumble across something, the chances of us seeing them are very, very, very slim. Oh, there's another one, there's another one. There's a tail. Here we go, you've got it. Just got to zoom straight in to the bottom of that tree, drop down a bit. There's the tail just disappearing, center. You can just see the little tip there. So that is a large spotted genet. You see how it doesn't have the white tip on its tail? That's the signature of the small spotted genet. So there's a whole lot of them here. Hey, that's crazy. So there we go, just as I was saying, you normally have to be with us live. Now, you can see without the without the spotlight on, you can still see it. See if it relaxes. I just always give a spotlight when we have seen a nocturnal critter like this, just to guide, obviously, Ferg into it, because he wasn't sure exactly where it was, and it can be quite tricky. And you can just see it moving around there. And they'll feed in and out of these thickets, hoping to get some insects and things like that. Now come on out. I don't know any enticing calls to lure out a genet, I'm afraid. And they're not Genevieve the genet, the camp genet, that is very, very relaxed. And with that genet, we make all sorts of clucky, clicky sounds, and it seems to respond to them and get quite excited. That's so cool. What do you think, Ferg, if we try and reposition slightly? Let's see. We're going to try it. Not promising anything, though, but I mean, we can't really see much anyways. So let's go a little bit further forward. I'm going to try and keep my eye on it, see if it does run, and if it does run, where does it go to? Yeah, I don't even think it's in there anymore. Hang on, let's just go around this little tree here. I can't see it anymore. Let's switch off and have a look. It was somewhere here, but I think it may have scurried away. It could still be in there. Just having a scan, but they're very shy, as we've of course seen. Nah, I don't think we're going to get a view of it. I think it's hiding away. I don't blame it. Very cool though. Very nice. You'll just have to take my word for it that that's what we saw. We did see a genet. We saw two. Well, you got to see one. I got to see two. Ferg also got to see two. Tammy T with Tammy with a T. I've got to use these things, otherwise I could have called you Sammy. But yes, you enjoyed this drive. I'm glad you did. I think David stole the show this afternoon with Thandi and Tlalamba. Very cool, very nice. And I'm so glad David has had some really nice intimate sightings with the leopards. I mean, of course, in Kenya you can have sightings like that, but honestly, the best leopard sightings that I've ever had have been here. They've just been unbelievable. So I'm sure he's going to take home with him some special, special memories, and to see such a young cub as well. Very, very cool. But anyways, let's go find out from David himself how much he's enjoyed spending time with South African leopards.
Fantastic, yes, Taylor. I mean, leopards, either here or in Kenya. We have decided to allow the two girls a bit of yes and a bit of, and I got a feeling they might be going for many leopards or leopards in general after eating such a nice heavy meal in the heat of the day. They may want to go out and have a drink somewhere. So I got a feeling they have gone to have a drink, and I thought we'll not keep bothering them, we'll not keep following them. And we are taking a different direction. We bump into any other leopard or something else, who knows, and why not? There's one place I've always seen a lizard here. Let's find out if there's anything, Senzo. Do you think there's anything there, Senzo, in that hole? Can you just put your camera there? See if there's something or not? Nothing, eh? Yeah. Very good. I think it's gone. So we got our night visions out, everything out, my spotlight on, and we'll be looking also for bush babies, just like Taylor, after being entertained so very well by Thandi in Claramba. That, I think, was one of my best, I would say, sighting of a mother and a cub. Very playful, seeing them eating, hello grooming, reestablishing, you know, their bonds. Mike, thank you very much. Great comment. Wonderful screenshots you got. If you could send me some, Mike, I would be more than happy, Mike. I would be more than happy if you could send me some. Please do. Feel free to do that. And you can send them to us as usual. Hashtag Safari Live. Thank you, Mike, that you got great shots. Hopefully you can catch one bush baby before we head home. But again, as I was saying, that's one of my best sightings I've ever had of a mother and a cub. Leopard playing. There's nothing good as just seeing any cat, a cheetah, a leopard, or, you know, a lion, and seeing a mother and a cub. I think that was super. It's not an ordinary sighting. That must have been super special. Super, super special. I'm going to remember that sighting for a long time. And what day it has been, eh? And we're just trying to slowly walk. We're going to stay quite still for a few seconds and see if there'll be any sound at night. And enjoy a moment of silence for 5 seconds. And what a beautiful wilderness we live in. We want to thank you, all of you, and please join us again tomorrow morning, 6:30, for another drive. From all of us, thank you and goodbye.